We obviously have to begin. We have to begin by tying back to the last session.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought we were in the same place because the tower looked exactly.
No, it's not the same place. But
What year of
if you
Canton?
remember where we left off, the party was at Kair Bannerman in which is just north of Vistul in Slavura, where you were at the fortress of the Elder Slayers. I gather we have a narrative situation to manage because Sigrun is leaving the plot, and Gina's new character is coming in. So I'm going to ask Gina to narrate Sigrun's departure, and for anybody who wants to react to that, to narrate what their character does as a sort of retrospective for tonight's session. So
she wouldn't leave immediately. It would probably be at least a day. Because they need time to recover, and she wants to be there for any celebratory relaxation. Because I feel like that's what they would want.
Yes.
right.
And she'd also wouldn't know right away that she wants to leave. She'd have to be thinking about it for a bit. But maybe a day or two later, she would gather the group and tell them that she needs to take some time off. She needs to go on sabbatical.
That's her explanation for it. I'm just sort of wondering what she informs everybody.
I think she would tell them that she, in order to kind of give herself a purpose in going away so she doesn't feel like she's just wandering, her mission, so to speak, would be to go back to where, what was it? The city where she grew up, to kind of investigate if Ragna left any vestiges of anything going on there.
Okay.
Because if there's still something festering, they should know about it. So that's what she would tell them she's going to be doing.
So she's sort of going on what they used to call in the military dispatch.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
A little bit of recon on her own. And then I think in particular she would take Isha and Kajal aside because they're the ones who she's been with since the beginning.
Right.
And with Isha, I don't feel like she'd feel the need to give too much of an explanation because they're kind of on a wavelength, and also because Isha's also had that experience where she had
I was
to
going to say she also took
do her
took a
thing,
leave
and
of absence.
So I imagine their exchange would just be kind of like a quiet look and a touch and an embrace.
Yeah, Isha would give her a very, very tight hug.
Yeah.
And probably give her one of her little teeth. Not out of her mouth, but
She's like,
she's biting.
I've had this since I was, one.
She's gonna end up with some Jack Sparrow braids with the teeth.
She's giving her one of the teeth from her Oracle set.
Doll. Would she
We've
even
been
know
through
what to
death and
say?
life together.
Yeah. She might say something like that. She would tell him, I said that if it keeps you alive, I'll pray more often, and that's not going to change. I'm going to be praying for all of you. And she would take Morgan's spell focus necklace from around her neck and give it to Kajal.
Oh, God.
Stop!
He would immediately put it on. How
Just
tall
say-
are you? I just don't have an idea.
5'4", you said.
5'4", yeah.
Okay, so you got-
Maybe
You're
she'd put it around his neck.
You're still
but I don't know.
staring at their bodice.
Where are we?
Yes.
Where is this coming?
You're still at the fortress.
Yeah.
So probably a room off to the side because she,
As
want
long as
to
there's a chair.
Are you crying?
Yeah.
It's Jen!
It's me.
And she'd say, you should have this piece of Morgan to carry with you.
I would go over to the nearest chair and put the chair in front of you so I can stand and be eye level.
Yes!
And close, but not too close.
Yeah.
And I think
Respect.
Just say, we'll get there. Battle Sister, it saddens me that you are leaving us, but as one who has had to leave his people to find his way and find his way back, I can appreciate the need to leave. And all I will say is that may Odin watch over your every step, and may all the doors in your path remain open.
Oh,
Oh.
so much for the
Legendary courtesy of the dwarves.
I would say skeleton key, and then I actually would like lean my head forward, and just kind of touch forehead.
Yes! Secret's closing her eyes and putting her hand on his shoulder.
Who you truly are.
And then I'd step off the chair.
Forehead touches always get me. They're fucking hobbits.
To Majorie and Monjue, I think,
Mhm.
would probably come after when they all come out in the
Yeah.
group.
Right.
She would just say, I've seen what you could both can do. You're strong. Take care of each other.
I think Majorie wouldn't go as far as to grab a chair, but I think
She'd need 2 chairs.
2 chairs.
One chair.
A chair and then
Do you
a
need
stool.
a small?
towel.
Do you need a
Maybe a
box?
I
box
need a
underneath
box. I
there.
need a box and then a chair.
If you were putting a chair on top of Kajal's chair.
Chair, yes, exactly. I would say I appreciate everything you've done for us, and I know you're an important part of this group, and your presence will be truly missed. But I understand the importance of your mission, and we wish you all the luck.
As I do you.
You're not sure, but Monjue may have gotten misty-eyed.
And Sigrid would just put a hand on Monjue's shoulder and give her a nod.
Right. And she just bows to you and says, "Peace be with you. You will be safe. Or you will be missed."
You will be safe. Also, you will be safe.
How dexterous is Majorie? Does she have high dexterity?
I think
She want to climb up on my
I,
shoulder.
yeah, 14. Yeah, but it's +2 to
Trying to figure out who would be the one that Sigrid would leave a couple lockpicks with.
I have a +3.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, I was
so
gonna say,
that would
not
be
me.
Isha.
Thank you, though.
Okay.
Thank you
She'll
for
leave you a couple
Thank you for thinking
lockpicks
of
just
me.
in case, because you won't have your skeleton key anymore.
Ironically,
I
I'm
say,
as
I
dexterous as
think-
each.
I am highly
In
dexterous.
the dungeon to follow along. She's
I think
probably
mine is
And would rather
+4.
punch the doors.
Ooh.
You can have the
Teamwork.
That's okay.
Secret more closely
You
than
can
anyone
learn-
else.
Stand
I can
through
give
the
you
door
one of
goes-
the
Yeah, so you could. It could occur to you later.
Two
Yeah.
Anders.
2
Nothing.
Anders. Fuck you.
Probably would not change any words.
Just kind of looks at him. You won't see me coming. But it's like kind of good humored, but
Yeah.
also kind of a threat.
That's my favorite kind.
Yes. It's very secret.
He would just say something along the lines of, if you ever need a place to stay, he's gonna say, you're welcome to come back here. Like, he'd tell the people, like, let her come back here to rest. That's all he would say. But these doors are open. You don't have to pick them.
Hey!
That's his
I
exchange.
appreciate
That
that.
would be his exchange. Like,
That's valid.
Anders made a joke.
Are you sure you don't want me to break in so I can let you know where you need to like up the security?
well, you can leave a nice note afterwards.
That I'll do that. I can do
Okay, then fair enough.
that.
I love this.
Just leave bread by every door.
Leave bread like
He comes back. Shit, whole grain.
whole grain. Leaves whole grain for Anders, and everyone else gets like
Good
high
shit.
quality bread.
Yeah.
I like rye bread.
Okay.
You get
I'm
hard
loving-
tack.
And then I guess it would just be a goodbye scene at the gates.
Yeah.
Mm.
Play that music from the Hulk movie.
Yeah, right?
And thus did Sigrun ride westward to adventures untold.
Mm.
For the time
She'll
being.
be
For
back.
now.
She would tell them this isn't the last time we're meeting. Like, as a fact.
Yeah.
That's why Majorie wouldn't be that upset. Because she knows
Oh, you should
people can come back. And that
She
happens.
was like, we will meet again. And like,
On this or any other.
I love it. The gang.
So,
Slowly, it's like we're phasing every
That was beautiful.
member.
I miss her, but I'm
the
excited for Vala.
morning after Sigrun left, the remaining members of the Red Banner began to journey southward to get around what is a sort of once a decade phenomenon in that forested area of Slavura, which is a forest fire. a huge forest fire that is burning the taiga, and people were losing their way, and so you were forced to journey many dozens of leagues south, and you decide eventually when you reach a kind of verdant steppe area in southern Slavura to stay on the road you're on, because your guides are telling you that there's a city up ahead called Balka, which is located on the sort of rolling steppes of the borders of Slavura and Rostia. Before we go too far, I have to give. Can you give that to Gina? That's a missive for her new character.
Cool. A missive.
A missive.
Yes.
How do you spell Rostia? It's supposed to be Russia, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I got the map here.
So
ROSTIYA.
God bless you. There's also a map there.
Actually,
So I'm
I
assuming in the
have
meta
that.
world, like Anders brokered the deal that he's
I got the
Like,
Yeah,
guide
so
too.
the
Anders
way-
and you should
the
kind
way
of
that
agree
the-
to be like co-leaders kind of thing.
Yeah, the way that the
Yeah,
the
co-captains.
Grand Slayer or the Grand Master,
Well, I mean, to
Slayer,
Master Slayer.
yeah, would have left it with you is that there is this agreement to engage in an ongoing mission to at some point bring the various societies and orders together that are committed to fighting the Elder Gods
Makes that makes
into
sense.
some kind
Yeah.
of alliance,
Yeah.
along with the expectation that there's some, there's almost an apocalyptic sensibility
Yeah.
in these
We're
kind of.
training all the Slayers.
Yes,
Yeah.
essentially.
But also like getting any other group together.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
he's like the. You probably say, I don't know why they picked me to be the poster boy of the Slayers, but fine.
Resembling you.
I've
We are
always kind of
assembling
been the
new
poster
posters.
girl type.
It's not Russia.
So good,
so
Russia.
there's
No,
Okay.
Rostia.
Okay.
It is cool. Isn't it?
No, that's like
so
Siberia.
there's your
Siberia.
spellings, but I think you guys probably remember that.
In
from the map.
Soviet Slayers, you kill Elder. No, Elder kill
Um,
you.
Yeah,
No,
that's
makes
so-
no sense.
So where we begin tonight, and by the way, your minis are on the
You must
speaker
be
behind you.
Oh,
I have-
old friends.
I eyeballed a mini for Vala.
This one?
Yeah, is that okay with you, Pedro?
Yeah, I'm down.
Oh, is that a cape?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
No capes!
No cape.
Okay, and
Actually, no. There's no
Okay.
there's no
So,
airplane
so you
there
can-
engines, so we're fine.
where we're beginning tonight is with
See you again someday.
Pasties.
Vala, who is in
Oh,
Balka.
Oh, no pressure.
You were already in Balka.
Okay.
Now, Balka is one of the few cities to have sprung up on the steppes of Slavura and Rostia because of the positive influence of the younger gods in the area. As they dissolve the baleful presence of the elder gods, and remember there's that gigantic blighted battlefield to the east, the Sabarata, where the younger gods and the elder gods fought and destroyed a massive part of the planet. So there's that negative influence, but that's being pushed back by the positive influence of the devotees of the younger gods. And as a result, you're getting these cities springing up, including Balka. Balka shows all the signs of being the final settling place of a once nomadic people, which are the Cossacks of the steppes. And they're gradually adapting to urban life, but you can still see signs of their wanderlust and their kind of ruthless ways. The city was founded by, Vala discovers, Borodin the Sage, some 5 centuries ago, who with his 5 chiefs discovered a fortress of an elder god on the Danube River, and being dedicated themselves to the various mother goddesses of the northern pantheons. They rallied the local tribes of Cossacks and managed to root out the demon. They sealed his fortress. They found that his guard tower was impregnable and could not be torn down. So instead, they burrowed underneath its foundations and rerouted a river through it in an attempt to cleanse it.
Ooh, I like that.
That's a really
Nice.
And they maintain a guard in the city
That's what we're going.
because of the possible return of this elder god. Legend also says that the elder god left a great and mysterious jewel in the tower, which remains impregnable to this day. But as a signal to the elder gods that the tribes remain strong and ready, the Cossacks hold bi-yearly contests of horse and foot combat on the riverbank by the foot of the tower. And in recent years, they've been warily inviting local tribes of orcs and goblins to participate to keep them from falling fully under the sway of the elder gods.
Oh.
Smart, very smart,
Interesting.
very smart.
Wait, are we gonna run into like?
They do this.
Like
they,
normie nice.
they do this because they promise these bestial bands that if they are ever victorious, that they may loot the city for 1 hour. This is to put some competition in their own system.
Mm-hmm.
Now this has never occurred, but as the increasing number of orc tribes in the area grow stronger and stronger, the inhabitants of Balka have been coming to regret this tradition.
Uh-oh.
At any rate, I imagine that Vala is, like many of the nomadic Cossacks that are visiting the area, sort of rallying near the testing grounds, the trial grounds, and you'll see that there are.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
There are weapons racks, and there's nomadic tribes and tribesmen and horsemen. But if you look a little bit up along the trial grounds, you'll see that there's a spectator's berth there.
Like there.
Yeah, where there's many sort of the town nobles are gathered, and money is changing hands, and bets of different kinds.
I don't know if she'd be at the front.
You want me to put it back?
Yeah, she'd be hanging like.
While Vala is there,
Okay, I'll be right here.
Yeah, kind of doing a
Yeah.
arms crossed, leaning against the stone, like she's real cool.
Legs crossed too.
While Vala is there, she sees a magnificent
Me.
carriage.
For a
Might be a
moment.
little much.
A magnificent carriage
A little
comes in
reacts.
through the front gates
Yeah. Mm.
and turns to the left.
We did not take care.
That'll be fine.
No, we
Wait.
did not.
That's
Yeah.
not.
That's
That's
not
not any of our styles.
And it stops, and the back of the carriage opens, and Vala looks, and she sees a stout dwarf carrying a large hammer.
You did.
The hammer's
A
on
well armored paladin knight steps out. A one-eyed cleric
One-eyed
of,
cleric.
of dark countenance.
We really as a group stick out like
The one-eyed
sore
cleric of
fucking
Sudan.
thumbs.
Hey.
Really do.
A yellow-skinned Eastern monk in robes, who, stepping out of the carriage, turns around and lifts down a small hobbit, halfling, I should say.
Teamwork.
I wish we came out last guy be like this. Do you need help, Patrol?
I'd elbow you in the nuts. Probably.
And as the door closes behind the halfling who's lifted down, Vala is able to peer into the cabin of the carriage and sees a red banner tacked to the wall, just momentarily.
Ooh, cute. We've
And
decorated.
then the door shuts.
Look at how we got a really sweet.
It was a long
It
ride.
was.
Yeah.
You got into it with the crayons.
I did. Mm-hmm.
In the time-honored words of every DM, what do you do?
Stretch, because that was uncomfortable.
Probably.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we're all gonna be hurting a
We're
little
not used
bit.
to that.
A lot of the growing.
And by the way, you guys own a carriage.
we own a
You
carriage.
own a carriage?
That's convenient.
That's very convenient.
Because we keep losing
It
our
only takes us
fucking
about one
horses.
session to destroy
do.
it.
Yeah, I
Well,
can tell.
and
You
two
know,
hair.
I'll give it 2 because Morgan's not here to burn it down.
Okay, that's true.
And basically, it has room to sleep all of you.
Oh.
Wow.
Huge
Whoa.
carriage.
But
I
here's
love
the-
it.
I
We have a
haven't-
mobile home?
Is it bigger on the inside?
I haven't told you the bad
The
part.
red banner
Yeah,
double
that's
wide.
That's a
Oh.
bad part.
That's the bad
The
part.
bad part is it's extremely expensive, and you're going to have to rally your money together to account for this.
Oh, that's
Damn it.
The-
Why
the-
do we
Yeah.
have
That's
The thing, I never actually wrote down how much money Amber's ever had because I never really knew how much
Well,
it
at
carried.
some point, you're going to have to come up
Same.
I have-
with 1,200 gold pieces.
I have 300.
Could I have
pieces.
600?
I don't
So-
remember how much Seagrin had. She would have left a little with you guys.
Could I
Though.
just
Yeah.
pull from
I don't remember.
the Slayer's Bank?
The Slayer's Bank, yeah.
Maybe you guys are in debt
Yeah, we might
to
be
the,
in
to the
debt.
Elder Slayers.
We saved their asses. We should get a free carriage.
Free carriage. you two remember
Send
how
the doll
much
to
gold
them.
you have.
We saved your asses.
You
We
know,
should
you
get a free
probably
carriage.
was sitting there and was like, shh, I'll take care of it.
Let me just sort of review what's going on. You've been journeyed south,
Mm-hmm.
not in total comfort, but enjoying the shelter of his
Yeah.
carriage.
Yeah.
Periodically, Kajal has climbed through the little window at the front of the carriage, or Madry has climbed through the little window, and they sit and watch the steps roll by. But as they
Lots of
saw
sass
this
out
this
there.
rather impressive edifice of this steppe city on the rolling hills of southern Slavura, they decided to make for it. And as they come up to the gates, they need only explain that they're here for the hospitality and the festival of the trial contests, and they're admitted. And noticing that most of the horse traffic is led to the left, that's where they've gone. So you guys have climbed down.
Mhm.
What are you doing?
Who's
Can I-
been driving?
You have a driver.
Oh, we have a driver. We have to worry about a driver.
Wait, do,
Um,
do y'all have to pay the driver too?
No, he came with the carriage.
Could I,
We're about keeping property.
You have to feed him.
We do have to feed him. That's okay.
could I have procured a shield before we left the Slayers?
I think you're going to have to try and buy one here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need a shield.
We're dead.
You definitely want the shield.
So, tell me what you're doing.
Stretching.
The air is filled with strange languages,
Yeah.
different of
Did
these
they follow
Eastern
it?
languages, including
You guys over
the
here?
sort of
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
no,
we're
we're at
all-
the
the
front.
Creole
No, no.
of the Cossacks who
That
speak in
went
this
that way.
guttural
But
tongue.
we got out and then it went
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
You see
We're
some
fine.
fairly urbanized Cossacks. They wear sort of nice blooming silk and steel accoutrements. But then you see some very sort of savage tribesmen from out in the landscape, and they've come in. Some of them don't even have shoes, but they all have a kind of flinty, steely look in their eye and powerful weapons. And you notice they have an incredible mastery of their horses. So their horses respond to verbal commands. But you've clearly arrived at this city at the time of the festival, and as you can see, some of the tribesmen are saddling their horses, sharpening their weapons, exchanging weapons, and you get the impression there's some sort of major competition about to begin.
Well, looks like we should get you a shield sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so I would immediately beeline for the closest blacksmith within one block.
I'll follow him because
Well, as you can see, there's weapon racks right
Okay,
there.
then I would go.
Yeah.
Is there a shield on the right?
There is a shield.
A shield.
There's a shield.
I'm gonna.
What's it made of?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
There's
gonna
one
move
made of
all over
hide.
here.
There's a targe which is made of leather and studs.
Mhm.
There's none made
I
of
don't know
metal.
where Kajal is.
I would want one. I would want a
these
metal
are-
one, but I guess I'll take the charge for now.
Okay. So what do? You just
Take it.
Don't
Just
just
pick
take
up
Well,
all
it.
is anyone seeming to be
yeah. You can see there's a man who has a
Here
kind
in the
of
stand.
he has a kind of wolf skull
Ooh,
turban wrapped
Nice.
headdress, and he's kind of just holding his spear. He's just kind of looking at you,
Okay, I'd walk over and
That's
ask him
his
how
spear.
much the shield costs.
and he goes, "Your mother." You
My
are, you
mother?
are short. Is your mother as short as you? In which case, I take back the offer.
My mother could make a better shield than that in 5 seconds.
I'd like to meet your mother.
God.
She could become my fourth wife.
Do you enjoy having kneecaps?
How much money do you have, Shorty?
Where
Enough
are
for a
we're
shield.
done. This is it.
Let's
We're
see.
done.
I think I'm going to give you a local rate because I can tell you we're a newcomer with a strange accent. I'm going to say 4. Nah, it's too dear. 2.
2? 2 what?
Horses.
Shit.
Um,
This is it.
No, we are not losing.
You ain't
Yeah, we're not
getting
losing the horse.
We
yet.
don't take gold.
Okay.
what use gold?
That's true. We're in
My chief like gold. He trade gold. I trade horse flesh and blood. Are you going to participate in the trials?
Are you guys all here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Producer
I'm
Mike.
actually-
we're all just-
I'm,
I was just watching.
I'm enjoying you talking to a guy with a thick accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all around. Cause
Marjorie has one eye on you in the thing, but she's looking for food.
yeah.
Valid.
Would participating in the trials get me a shield?
I would give it to you, but you have to agree to take me on.
Is there a place to get a metal shield?
There is a blacksmith somewhere around, but I do not know. I'm not a native to the city. I come for the contest.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's go get you a metal shield.
And Major kind of just lets out.
You take. And he reaches down with his spear and he just kind of loops his spear through the arm loop, and he hands it to you. He goes, "You take it. You take it. You take it."
What a weirdo. Don't take it.
Courtesy of Zazimov.
Go what?
Courtesy of Zazimov.
I just married the guy if you take that.
Please.
And if I did, I'll break his kneecaps on our wedding night.
You know, there's usually things like I heard this thing
I
called
appreciate
divorce.
your
I've heard about
services,
dwarven
sir.
courtships,
Yeah.
but
Kishka, I gave your shield
Kishka.
away.
Oh,
you're so in
God.
you're so fucked.
I wish
We
we
have
had
friends
up
who-
in
you
that-
owe a shield to a guy named Kidney.
Awesome.
Good luck, Shorty.
Okay.
But wait, Shorty, like SHAWTY.
May one day my hammer and kneecaps. Oh.
May you fall off every horse you ride.
That's a safe
He's a
bet.
dwarf for donkeys.
I literally, Major literally just looks at him and goes, "That's a safe bet."
Alright, we
All
need to
right.
find a
Andre
metal
is
shield,
roaming
not
the
a
market
piece of skin
now,
attached to a piece of wood.
trying to find some food.
Well, it's actually more of a Cossack encampment, but there's
Okay.
things aren't quite for sale. These
Okay.
these nomads have set up shop, but you can see there's traffic going up and down the street. You can see there's probably a market. There's probably a market to the western side of the city.
Alright, we'll go that way.
Okay.
We're gonna walk by that way.
Alright.
Are any of
For some
you
reason, I
wearing
thought there was a
your
market
red
Always.
banner thing?
Oh yeah,
Always?
yeah, out and about,
No,
out and proud.
because I'm a Slayer first. Red
Yeah,
Banner
Slayer
Slayer.
first. Yeah.
I don't actually. I don't have any red banner music.
No, you
really.
No, you don't. You didn't get one.
So
I-
I
What
sleep
is
with
ours
mine
look
on,
like
like he doesn't take it off.
I have
Maybe-
like,
maybe
in
make
addition
things out of
to
it,
like
badges.
having my pin, I have like
Yeah.
I have tattoos that are like symbolic
It's a
of
little
members of the
different
Red
from
Banner.
theirs,
It
though.
was.
Really?
Yeah, I guess
You
I
haven't
didn't
figured
think
out
about
what they
that.
are yet?
No, I know what they are. I
All
haven't
of
written
your
down,
Red
but I must
Banner
have not
Badges
told you
look like.
guys.
Yours are kind
No
of
idea.
like a
Were you
piece of
talking about
cloth
your
hanging
tattoos?
down, right?
One of
It's a
her,
red pendant.
one
On
of her
the necklace,
tattoos.
right?
I
Don't
think
you-
That's
it's-
why we made
I
our
I have
name
it
badge.
updated somewhere. I guess
Did
I
they guys have the
remember to
makeshift
put on my
ones,
shirt.
though?
Yeah, yeah, makeshift.
But she has
Yeah,
tattoos
out of,
that are like
her,
coded for
that
members of
red
it. So like there's
stripes.
a key for secret.
that
Right.
rat
I think
took that was
I think
trying
you're
to
the only one I
sacrifice
sent that
and then
to.
got carried off.
Because I sent.
Yeah, you said
Yeah.
like something like that. Yeah.
I forget her name.
I'll
I
have to
vaguely
send-
remember it.
I'll
Yeah,
send you
ours
all
are
of her
pink.
tattoos.
Yes.
And we had
She's got a lot, and she
something
keeps
to
getting
do
them.
that.
So as you are all going as a group.
We're all, we're beginning to walk that way.
So as you walk up the street, you pass that statue, and you can see from the inscription that this is Borodin the Sage, who led the founding of the city and the sealing of the fortress and the expulsion of the Elder God. And he's revered in these parts. As you pass the main alleyway, you're able to sort of peer up and see that there's a fountain, and people are drawing water from it. But several times horses are led up the street, and you can see that they're going to the jousting ground.
Okay.
If you want, you can open that barn and pull a couple of horses out, and you can march them up the street.
Which one's the barn? That one?
The
Or
big
this
one, yeah.
This
Yep.
and that.
I'm gonna take that roof off, take 2 horses out, and have them march up
Oh,
the street.
cool. Horses. I want brown horses.
Trying to get into the swing of things as a character who's not subtle.
Ooh, I
or not as subtle as Seagrin anyway. And she kinda-
Has Vala been observing that entire
yeah, she was
exchange?
right here,
Okay.
like within
Okay. What are
20
they
feet
doing?
of it, so.
Major's like a. I just want to throw it out there, like a tad
So they
uncomfortable being
are-
surrounded by
the horses
so many
are by the fountain?
horses.
Well, so
Yeah.
you're
She's
going
not
out.
happy.
You see where the marketplace is.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, it's the you go all the way up and down there.
So where the horses were?
Yeah, the horses were marching up,
Oh,
being
okay.
walked up the street by a horse
Someone
trainer.
else?
So I'll put them
Okay.
here-ish, just for proximity's sake.
And just when you're about to round the corner, you hear this call behind you, and it's in a language that you do not know, but imagine is the local dialect. And somebody is clearly announcing the beginning of the contest, and there's cheering and songs, and money is, odds are being placed. And then you hear hoofbeats, and the ground shakes suddenly, and you hear the crashing of steel on steel, and leather armor, and the slashing of chainmail, and and all of this, bodies hitting the ground, and some people come running, but others are carrying on the business. You come around the corner and you see that there's basically an alleyway where there's sellers on either side with wares of different kinds, food, vegetables, crops, even some fish, even though there's no major bodies of water nearby from the river. And the smell of freshly cooked meals.
Vala's kind of keeping a little bit of her distance at the moment, just observing.
Right.
She's not really being sneaky necessarily,
Right.
but she's not being obvious either. It's like 15 or so feet behind.
Enough paces to not feel like you're stalking us.
Right.
But you
I mean, somebody might notice. I'm not going
Right.
to tell you what you guys notice.
are. Majory's like
I have no depth
made
perception.
eye contact with
Yeah, because you.
with Monchway.
And
Did
we're
like a
like,
head
yeah.
nods.
Yeah.
Spices.
So you also notice that the townsfolk are staring at Madry and Kajal because they've
So are you
almost
there
never
now?
seen these Western,
Yeah, we're probably in the marketplace.
these other Western humanoids.
Oh,
Yeah.
But Monjoy actually feels somewhat comforted in being on the precipice of the east. The vegetables, the spices, they are a little bit familiar to you, and you're not being stared at so much as people sort of wondering if you're a trader who's maybe just journeyed a little farther afield. But the rest of you are kind of being identified as formidable Westerners, and you are drawing attention.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a beeline for the blacksmith.
Okay. So the blacksmith shop is where the horses were being led out of.
Okay.
So
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Here.
So
That makes sense.
you
Okay.
walk in and you see a man there who's actually shoeing a horse, and he's hammering away with nails. But there's a series of sort of reasonably well smithed weapons on the wall. And he's just hammering away. He's sort of just ignoring everybody. He's sweating, covered in.
Do I see any
blood.
shields on the
Like
wall or anything?
that.
Yeah, you see a shield, but you don't like the shapes of them. They seem very strange to you, and it dawns on you that's because they're probably meant to be used on horseback. So but they are steel
Okay.
and iron.
Are they
The
bucklers
shields.
or like what kind of like?
Yeah, they're basically steel and iron with leather on the outside, but you can see the bones of the shield in there.
Yeah.
It's better than the other one.
But they have peculiar shapes to them.
Up and down.
Well, I'll pull one
I'm
down
asking
and I'll
for-
sort of like
for lessons
walk
and
over to
things
him
like
and
And
that.
then he
awesome.
snaps at you.
You're asking
for
me?
touching
Uh-huh.
them,
Oh,
presuming
cool.
to touch them.
This
And
will
he
be
kinda
the one.
looks at you. He
one of the
snaps
few
you in a
things where
language you're not
Mondre would be
familiar with.
willing to be more verbose.
This is gonna be it.
Please go into
Hey,
a
I don't speak it.
dissertation on like a particular type of vegetable.
I will.
What does the language sound like?
Ooh, yes.
It doesn't sound that far from the language spoken, Northern Slavura. You've heard it as well. You just don't speak it.
Did it sound Nordic?
Uh,
Close.
well, it sounds part of the Northern European dialects, but it's but you don't know what it is.
If we're likening
I'll-
it to
When you stand there with a quizzical look on your
It's-
face,
Well, I'll
it
ask.
just
Probably
goes
kinda
back
like
to
Pol-
hammering
it's
his.
kinda
I'll
like
ask
Polish.
in Nordic.
I think
Right.
it's
How
like
much the shield
Kazakh
costs.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He
because
looks at
they're
you,
horse
and then
people.
he looks at a stable boy who shrugs his shoulders, and he looks back at you, and he goes, points to the shield, and then points at you. He reaches into his pocket, puts some gold pieces down,
How many?
counts them out, counts out 45 gold pieces.
I have enough. So yeah, I'll get to him.
All right. So he takes it, takes down the shield, hands it to you, takes the money, nods to you.
I'll bow.
Barter system in action.
Yeah.
does it
Money, the universal
From-
language.
from our player perspective, does their language sound like Kazakh?
Checking in.
Yeah, a little bit. It's related
Okay.
to that.
Alright.
Yeah.
So like northeastern European.
Yes.
Oh, Major, how'd you get left behind?
You
I always
you would
still need a
recognize
thing on the
certain
bottom.
words that have come in from the east.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
Right. No, I don't mean me and Mondre.
Yeah.
Just as a for
She
my
means me
for
back.
my imaginative
Oh yeah, it's
assistance.
it's a rude and rustic form of
Okay.
medieval Russian.
So, Jen and I were just
Ukrainian.
talking through our market adventures.
Yes.
And so we're walking through looking at ingredients.
Mhm.
Mondre's goal here is to buy ingredients more than prepared food so that she can cook for the
Okay.
group. But Madry is very curious about all of these
All of
things,
it.
and whatever Mondre knows about, she's asking her to explain and talk
Perhaps we
about
should
how
go
it's
to the bar.
cooked.
So you see
What it is.
spices you haven't seen since
Maybe.
you left the East.
Bar
Okay.
keeps
Things like saffron and certain types of ginger.
Neat.
There's an appalling abundance of beets.
Oh God.
And mustard.
And
To be
mustard.
honest. But the bread is excellent, and there's marinated fish that seems promising. But you're able to, in relatively short order, put about a dozen spices that you haven't been able to get in the West.
You need to be able to ride a horse.
You know what the most expensive thing to get was, and like
Problematic.
that.
I mean,
It was,
my sword kind of
eggplant.
is designed to cut
Eggplant.
down
Eggplant was
most of
more
the same
expensive than
time, but
caviar.
I consider that cheap.
That's so bizarre.
Which they also have, by the way.
Or
There's caviar.
Ooh, they
Yes,
do.
they do.
Wait, hold
They
on.
do caviar.
Did you know what it is though?
Oh, these
Probably.
people.
Yeah.
I don't know. What I know is
Would you?
caviar.
I mean,
Because
You might know
is based off the swine.
I
lived in the mountains. I don't remember if I live on the
man and
coast
horse at
or
the same
not.
time.
'Cause I feel
That's why
like,
his sword's so fucking
It's
magic.
been a while. Let me
He's-
see.
Major
he's
would
an
be
extra
very
cavalry
aware
unit
that
to
people are
happen.
staring at her.
Yeah. You're actually been several times treated like a child.
Right. Yes.
So people have patted you on the head and pushed you out of the way.
I'm used to that.
That kind of
But I don't want to make anyone mad because they all
Just
ride
start stabbing people with
horses, which
forks.
is terrifying.
And a scary man with a beard said, "Boy."
She doesn't do anything to that, even though it makes her a little miffed.
I'm checking.
So I
to
think
see
she
what
would
I
try
know.
and to seem less, I don't know, odd. Would obviously try interacting with
Right.
folks. So trying to ask them like what things are.
Right. So you find the same situation that Kajal
Yes.
found, where
Mhm.
you have to sign it out, you
Mhm.
have to mock it out,
Mm-hmm.
but you through a kind of skill of nimble manners
Mhm.
manage to convey that you have a dexterity and ability to communicate that's not that of a child.
Right.
And people begin to figure out you're a small person.
I'm just a small
You're just a
person.
really, really small
Really,
person.
really tiny person.
And then within a short amount of time, people are passing you samples and they're showing you wares, and old women are hugging you.
Okay.
And people are trading garments with you and stuff like that.
Right,
Putting,
like, oh,
putting,
so your big hats.
putting giant helmets
Yeah,
on you and things,
uh-huh.
and giving you big cloaks to wear,
mhm.
or pumpkins that are like too large to carry.
Carry. I'm alright. I'm loving this.
I put
one.
some stuff in my pack for you.
Right.
Pack
Roll
if
to
it's
find
not
bar.
too heavy.
Yeah.
Not giant pumpkin.
What is Isha doing?
Isha's
Forget
trying
about
to fill up on samples
What do I
like a
need?
dad at a supermarket.
Yes. Yes. And this is where
Boy's a slut for Doritos.
This is slut for Doritos.
Like literally,
becomes
she's
our
like
turn.
she's like a dad
Like the
in a
thing
baseball
with
cap
our
walking around Sam's Club trying
Sam's
to fill
Club
up
on
on
Saturday.
samples.
So I think
And I would respect you.
You
Major would
would
really.
find
That would get me.
you would find that you're able to secure the goodwill of these people relatively quickly too,
Okay.
because you use some of the skills that you learned in the bazaar
And I was just gonna say,
from your
yeah.
childhood, so you know how to compliment, how to
She knows-
how to
yeah.
feign tastiness.
Yeah, right.
yeah, and she knows most of these like exotic looking things like
Right.
caviar,
That's right.
because she's from a port place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So you learn how to hold yourself in such a way where you manage to fit in.
Okay. Cool. That's.
Yes.
Alright.
She's just like, I just want the free samples,
Free
guys.
We've been
Yeah.
on a
All she
long
wants.
journey.
Yeah.
One wandering around
What's
Costco.
Andrews doing?
Yeah.
We
You can
On
get a-
Saturday.
You left
You get a
the
hot dog
are
the
looking
stable.
for the
for
bar.
$1.19 at Costco.
Now I rolled a nat 1, so I'm confused. But he got a 15 to find the bar.
Okay, so you guys head up the street because you happen to
also
see a
being
wagon go by with casks of ale in the back.
Oh boy.
Yes.
No.
Kajal notices this, and with the honed sensibility of the dwarf for ale, manages to begin following the wagon back up the avenue that you came
You
down.
happen to see
When
what?
you begin walking it, just when the wagon is heading up in front of you,
Is this building?
you hear, well, hang on, you actually hear a horn being blown from the top of one of the ramparts of the city gates. And you notice everybody kind of perks up, backs stiffen, eyes narrow, people start looking around. And all the eyes in the area turn to the city gates. And you see a troop of extremely formidable looking orc
I'm
warriors.
looking as though they're walking.
Amusing.
That was
Yeah, me too.
hilarious.
Orc warriors led by a very powerfully attired orc chieftain in full armor and a battle spear that actually has shrunken heads hanging from it. And behind him is a kind of lieutenant at arms with a huge long curved bow made out of a cow, some kind of cattle horn. But behind them are 6 orc warriors in this slick, hardened red leather armor, sort of just festooned with studs and spikes. And they come marching in, and you've never seen orcs march before, because you've seen plenty of orcs in your adventuring career, but you've never seen any with any kind of discipline. But this orc band of 8 kind of comes marching in, and they're kind of looking around kind of ruthlessly, and they begin to turn towards the trial grounds and the Cossack encampment.
Is it true that the dwarves don't like orcs? I always wondered that.
Like killing them since I was 12.
Garrett, you want to array these?
Yeah, would we
It's
see
been a while
this?
since I took an orc's armor.
So would we see this from our little village?
Oh, I
Give me a
remember that.
perception, or give me a perception check.
Because you were encumbered.
The
Just-
roof of the stable can go back on it. They've left.
I talk about that all the time. Of what to expect for our players, but not to do.
Thanks.
What's this?
The
When
time she
the-
was encumbered in the dungeon, covered in orc stuff, and she's had to
Yeah,
like drop
she
them.
just like took like she
Stole
did
an orc's
her
armor.
Yeah,
scale
they're
mail
marching in.
Then it
They're
passes.
marching this way.
17.
for
Yeah.
orc kind.
One of them comes up and actually spits at the base of the board and statue as he walks. 17, you know something is happening
Okay.
because you know the music stops, the sort of ditties being played and sung in
I'm
the
just giving
streets.
examples.
People are looking
You know.
around. Some people scurry to stare up the street.
Okay.
Others just shake their heads, knowing what the horn blast was intended to signify, which was the presence of enemies in the city, but not by invasion. It's not an invasion clarion. It's just an alert clarion.
Always.
If Major
Frown
kind of gave
loudly.
like a facial expression to like one of the
In brackets.
marketplace people.
So he just looks and goes, "Hersht."
As
Which
they-
sounds enough like orc for you to know.
As they walk by, I think I would just sneer at them.
So as they, are you near them?
Yeah,
They
they're
walk
walking
right
right
past
by
us.
They walk right past you, and can you give me a perception check?
You guys are over here
Oh,
now.
can I do that one too? I'm right next to one.
Sure.
The ale.
Those
Oh,
who
right.
are
The
perceiving.
ale.
I'm following the ale wagon.
Not getting that 20. I got a 9.
9,
18.
18. So Kajal actually just sort of this keen wilderness sensibility, but also your eye for armor and arms. You can see by the way their leather is hissing and cracking that it's red because it's soaked in blood.
Stop.
Their leather is dyed because it's soaked in blood.
That's so extra. I love it.
That is, I might respect you.
He just winked at
He
you.
winked.
I'm
I
so
saw.
excited about it.
Vala is
These
disgusted.
are not your typical orcs. Their armor is thick and their shields are broad.
Broad.
Okay, so Monjway knows that there's something up, but
Yeah.
she's kind of got a hoarder mentality when it comes to food stuff.
Yeah.
So
He's just busy.
yeah, so she's like trying to, as much as she has the attention of the market people, she's continuing to try to buy things quickly.
Majorie is like very confusedly because she understood orc. Like, why aren't we doing anything?
Right.
What's going on?
I think at this point I
If you ask her something, she'll just give you
her.
her attention.
I'm
like,
like,
check out
no,
the
it would be like an
It's
out loud
interesting.
kind of like to everyone,
Just-
like a.
Just.
Why aren't
I
we
don't
doing
wanna jump
anything?
in and just start killing people.
So they don't understand.
I hope
They don't
not.
understand.
I want to know what the relationship
We've been
So,
trying to work
uh,
on the whole anger issue for you.
Manjway and Madri are still in the bazaar.
I'm
is
with
Isha.
them.
And
Oh,
Asia.
and
Still
Isha.
got
So what
samples.
you guys actually notice is one of the shopkeepers, having heard the clarion blast, he goes back into his little stall, and when he comes back, he's wearing this rusted chainmail and a rusted helmet, and has a spear and a sword, and he's sort of seemingly produced this out of nowhere. And he
Well,
turns, and several others are with him,
Mhm.
and they're going up the street, and people are patting them on the shoulder as they pass, but they're coming this way. They're not going towards the testing ground, and they sort of disappear around the corner.
Market's people
This
are
way?
emerging in armor.
I'm gonna
well, not armor,
Yeah.
rusty old stuff
Should
to try
we-
to fight it.
I'm gonna try and gather information about that.
Yeah.
Because I want to know what that's about.
What all of this is about.
Okay,
I'm
I guess
very confused.
we
Why
would probably
anyone
perched
suffer
here
the
while they're
presence
doing
of
the
orcs?
thing. Ironically, where Vala was.
Yeah, I think Vala would have been concerned about these orcs.
Yeah, what is Vala doing?
She's observing.
She's sneaking about secretly.
She's not sneaking.
Sneaking!
She's not. She's observing because she needs to know if she can trust before she like opens up about the information that she has.
Sure.
So, but didn't Glenn say in the intro? Glenn, didn't you say in your intro that the competitions included orcs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
That's
you
why-
guys
that's why
just
they're
got
not being
here, though.
attacked.
But we wouldn't know
Yeah.
So
that.
these guys are basically
Right.
marching beyond the right through, not through, but right by the.
Would I know that? Because
What?
I'd been here already.
Give me a.
They must be
Give me an
playing on their gear
investigation
because they're
check.
going to fight in the competition.
They're walking this way though, not that way.
Oh, and that's the.
That's the competition.
That's only an 11.
Yeah, you heard.
Exactly.
It made sense. You heard enough
Alright.
conversation about people worrying about the orcs arriving, not coming, not invading.
But arriving.
Arriving. You've also picked up a few words in the language.
Okay.
How are you dressed?
In armor. Chainmail.
What else? Anything significant? I'd like.
What do you wear?
Well,
Make notes
What
stick
are you
out.
wearing?
You're an outsider.
What are you wearing
What
with
am
the
I wearing?
face?
my shield is emblazoned with Yggdrasil and Freya's cats on either side.
Okay.
So you would have.
So
You and I would have
roll
stuck.
perception, or do we even need to roll perception?
Do I even need to?
Well, when did you actually cross paths?
Well, now because I think we would
Yeah.
have gone back
Oh, I
to
see.
the direction she
When
was
they're
coming.
stalking
yeah.
the ale truck.
Yeah.
Okay, I rolled an 18 for
The
noticing
cats are in
Norse
the milk
symbols.
truck.
Yep.
I rolled a 16.
So basically, three Scandians are.
Find them
Three
staring-
Scandians walk into a bar.
Three Scandians walk into an eastern city. You basically all kind of look at each other and realize that you're probably from the same kingdom.
Same hat! Same
You know what? On that note, as we're
No,
like
me,
shading
blonde.
I think she
Is Vala blonde?
dark hair.
Oh, okay, interesting. So I'm
Almost
the
black.
most Scandian looking
What
person
time
in
of
the
day?
whole
Almost
city.
black hair.
It's
blonde.
probably around
Sensible.
6 p.m.
kind of
after
like
dinner.
post losing her
Um,
golden hair, Sith black hair.
Oh, okay.
I would bow, and
Jamie Alexander.
in Nordic, I would say
Thor too.
good evening.
Good evening.
In Scandian, that was awkward.
6 foot tall.
I
Full
wasn't
6
saying
feet
it like
tall.
I wasn't trying
No,
to. Say,
No, I know. I just think it's funny.
Oh, 6
So
foot.
tall.
Well, yeah, 6'3", one chastising 4 foot 2 dwarf.
Wait, are you
Um,
6'3"?
Yeah.
6 foot.
6'3".
Cool.
You're 6'3".
Yeah.
No, you can.
But the tallest people probably.
It's not a competition.
Probably the tall people in the city, yeah.
We're
Okay,
always pulling out the
I
rulers
love that I'm
here.
as tall as Christian's ideal piece of art.
Yes.
Cool, likes Robin.
It's okay.
Usually.
Morgan was my
Oh.
size.
And my token glasses.
Well, at that
comparing
point,
themselves
Vala
to the
would
Numenorian,
approach.
So,
Yeah, so the way I put
alright.
it is I'm the only Numenorian in the room.
Yep.
Yeah. Not gonna lie.
And also, greetings in Nordic. And her eyes would kind of fall to the red banner sigil and say, "Your red banner?"
What? What? I'm not there.
We're not
I
there
thought your
yet.
society was secret. Also in Nordic.
You assume I know that much about it.
Clearly, I assumed wrong.
Yeah, what would
Well-
Andrew's reaction? What would he be to that? Because he would be operating on the presumption it was mostly secret.
That's why he
Yeah.
said I thought it was secret.
Right.
Well, so did I.
I was informed of this subscribes from my home up in Scandia.
Well,
I have reason to believe an elder who was once routed here may have been returned.
Ooh, shit.
Oh well. Good thing we showed
I wish I
up.
were here for this.
Me
tag
too.
along.
So I know because I was looking for it.
But we're fed.
We are full.
So where is it?
No, I was looking for the red banners.
Oh, I thought you were looking for the elder.
Well, that too, but I would rather not face an elder on my own.
We should discuss this. We've killed a few.
A few.
We've killed a lot.
Good job.
I have heard stories.
Interesting.
If the egos are stroked.
I like your
Which
shields.
Well, I've heard that the red banner has been doing great deeds all throughout these lands.
You've been doing great deeds, huh?
We have.
Joel is our representative.
That is what people
The only claim I killed the dragon and the beholder. That's all I got on me right now.
That's all you've got on you.
He is off.
Yes.
And that's just the
He
last
goes here.
month and a
That
half.
was just the last 3 weeks. You shouldn't see me the other 20 years.
So this conversation is entirely in Nordic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The stroking of egos? Yes, of course.
Right.
I only stroke egos in my native tongue.
Nordic is
Alrighty then.
Nordic is the language of hubris.
Alrighty then.
That wasn't intentional, but I'm okay with it.
Alright.
When you're 6 feet tall, you can say these things.
You can.
Short stuff.
Is she pretty or is he handsome or
So
are they just tall?
At that moment, you actually see that
And constant struggle.
you're a carriage driver whose name is Akshamet.
Ooh.
Akshamet is kind of slapping the hand of a Cossack who's trying to use his spear to push back the drapes of the carriage. He's, get away, you go away, and they're like slapping him with the spears.
Oh, I'd run over.
Hey, excuse me.
I'm like wondering if we now have this sixth sense, like, oh, I haven't seen Kajal and Anders in a while.
Mostly
Maybe-
control.
maybe
Now that
Mostly
we-
Kajal.
Yeah.
So
Well,
now
I'm trying
I think what Isha would say is.
Now that we're full.
I think Isha
Paula's
would
like,
say
Anders is gonna be best friend.
there was some kind of alarm
She will.
or trouble, and we haven't seen Kajal in a while.
Well,
Let's
you were trying
check
to gather
in. Yeah,
information, were you
yeah.
not? All right, so do you want to give me a investigation?
Sure.
Sure.
Paula's the kind of
Ooh,
person who would carry
18.
business
Alright.
cards. Like, yes, I am tall.
So you managed
Yes,
to have enough
No, the air is not
of
there.
languages that are adjacent to this one to sort of pick up some similar grammar and vocabulary, and you heard reference to orcs. You heard
Actually.
reference to trials by combat.
He hasn't met
You
someone
heard
who's
reference to
supposed to
something
know
called the Tower of the Spire of the
Oh.
Blessed
Oh,
Elements,
she was?
and you heard the verb to guard. And you put those facts together, and you
Right.
think that these older merchants who had armed up were going to guard this spire of the blessed elements, whatever it is.
Sure.
Apparently, to keep it safe from any possibility of orc sort of infiltration.
Would you relay this information?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah. I'm guessing she picks this up through like a bit of like the Gaelic that she learned from.
Well, just you pick up when you learn, and I don't know if you guys
the root
speak
languages.
other languages, but if
Yes.
you have 2 or 3
Yeah.
points of reference,
Mostly
you begin to
just-
see the similar patterns of grammar and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of
There's
Yeah,
some
sense.
regional similarities.
The oldest word that we think in Proto-Indo-European is father, which is Ata, and you get Attila,
Yeah.
and you get Papa, and you get Athar
In
Irish,
Ukraine,
and you can
it's
see it.
Tato.
Yeah, it just runs all the way through. And so a tower, for instance, tower, tour, tahor, it just kind of echoes on. And so
That makes
you're able to
sense.
put this together and pick these things up.
I like that.
Yeah.
She's worldly.
She is.
So you
Doesn't
guys
Arwen
sort of
Ada.
scampered over with the imperative intent to come to the rescue of Akshamet, your carriage driver.
Yeah, so
But at that moment, everybody relents anyway because the orcs have come marching up, and everybody's
Anything involving tournaments and Kajal does
No,
not
the
bear
next-
good news
yeah.
for everyone.
and so basically now you're watching about 6 or 8 Cossack tribesmen ruthlessly holding their weapons, sort of facing off, staring down this band of orcs that are coming walking up. You don't think it's going to come to blows, but this is not
Yeah.
West Side Story.
Go to the wrong side of the street, motherfucker.
They're,
when you're in Orc, yeah.
they're eyeing each other, and they clearly have thinly veiled hostility,
So you-
if it's veiled at all.
You guys have that little conversation, then I go, okay, come on.
Yeah,
And then we just.
we've decided that we need to go find them.
Okay.
So we're walking back up this way, back up
Yeah.
the way
sure.
we came.
So people are waving goodbye to you.
Yeah,
And
they're
they're sort of,
waving.
and you have no idea
Right.
what they're saying,
Saying.
but they're just kind of. they're
Have fun
waving.
storming the castle!
I've got to go to the bathroom. You tell me what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so well, you're right at the end of that road. That road, right?
We're kind of
Do you know
here.
anything
Kinda there.
about
So I
This
imagine we
weird
see them.
relationship between the orcs and the castle.
So we see them. So we'll just.
They've been
Yeah.
speaking of the orcs arriving.
Orcs are overly
They said
solid.
nothing
Solid
to
orcs too.
I'm
the
mad.
effective invasion,
Still
so
mad
it
about
must
that.
have been
Still
expected.
my family. That sounds like so cliche. Orcs
It's
still my
probably
family.
competition.
So that's why
I
I'm
believe
very
so.
confused.
From what I've
why
observed,
nobody's
Think about it. They
talking
challenged
about
you
them.
earlier.
You know,
But
it
I
makes
think
sense,
what I
but
don't
what
think
doesn't make
Nisha
sense
knows
is
that.
why-
I probably
think
wouldn't.
she knows that
I
either.
wouldn't probably.
That goes against every
I might have
fiber
disclosed
of
it to
who I
you.
am.
Yeah, that's
As
what
like
you
I
told me
think
that
orcs are
Yes, I
capable
think I
of
would have.
somewhat
Okay.
having
You should would not
civilization.
know
I'm
that.
gonna write it down so I know.
Well,
You should
how
not
does
know.
one weed a garden?
I know.
Mhm. Pull it out by the roots.
Routinely.
Oh.
That too.
Can't say that I have a garden.
I don't
I
get the
almost forget.
metaphor.
So Maedree.
Well, it seems to me an excellent way to keep the population down, to invite them
This is a
here
good conversation.
I know this.
every so often.
That's messed up.
Kill as many as you can.
They didn't bring that many.
We're walking.
Like I said, I only know
We
what
might
I've
start catching
observed.
get some of it. I'm very speedily
Someone tells me
walking.
this is the
Yeah.
best they
So I'm not
have,
slowing
which
you down.
means the
You're
orcs
on
get
your
some sort of
feet.
reward if
That's
they
funny.
win. So it must be some sort of deal.
Oh yeah, they're not just here. If they were here to just kill people, they'd just be.
But I don't think the Elder are behind this part.
You know what I've learned in our
This
That's
doesn't
alright
sound like
by
Elder
now.
stuff.
You know what I've learned in our
I
travels?
think so.
Hmm?
We're walking down the street at a
It
pretty
doesn't,
good
it's not
More
gonna
often
take us
than not.
that long.
I don't know. Let's count. Do we want to count
learned the Elder.
squares?
Well, if it
One,
takes
die usually
how
when
many
you have a lot of
seconds?
alcohol.
Like, if we can
And
move 30
two-
feet
Sparkle,
in
sparkle.
6 seconds,
Yeah.
Sparkle,
then
sparkle.
we should have made it by now.
I would say
Two.
we have met them by now.
Yay,
Elder
combat
always
logic.
Yay.
Make sure they're hiding in plain sight.
Alright.
They're gonna have some person speaking some epic speech.
I think we
doing
would have
something.
made it there by now.
We're like right by you now.
So-
We're saying we're there.
You at that moment you see a man standing up on a bench in the viewers gallery, and he says, "Gentlemen, fellow Cossacks, gentlemen, orcs, please restrain yourselves. All know that I am Mulkan Zaporov, proctor of this competition, and we will get to the hostilities, feigned or real, shortly enough. Allow us to set up the chalkboard and arrange the initial matches. Please stand down, gentlemen, until we have a chance to arrange. Please, please." And a chalkboard is set up, and sort of names are being assembled and listed. But at that moment, you watch as the orc chieftain, the one with the spear with the shrunken heads on it, sort of strides up to the edge of the jousting ground, and he says, "I am Kadra, chieftain of the orcs of the scaled fist. Are there any here with power to joust with me? For once I have assembled a troop that I will know will vanquish you pathetic Cossacks, and we will rape your city like a helpless woman. Who dares? Who dares to combat me?"
I don't joust. I cut a horse and a person in half and then swing its way.
And at that moment,
I can ride camels.
At that moment, he steps up and he grabs a horse's reins from one of the Cossacks, and he takes out his knife and he cuts the rope that is tying it to its owner, and he mounts it. So put him up on one of the horses.
Free.
I don't know if
This no good. This no good.
No, on one of the ones that have
Oh.
the thing on it.
Fine.
Tried to put
I
it on the
like.
actual horse figurine.
It'd be funny if it did work, wouldn't
It's
it?
true.
And he rides it down to the edge. He says, "Give me a foe!"
Maedree's like hand on sword finally walks up to the three of you.
And when he reaches the end of the grounds and reins his horse and turns back, all of the orcs begin to cheer and they start banging their sword butts on any
Actually,
object.
I'm 90% sure my animal.
What's going on?
Yeah, my animal handling is crap.
We haven't done anything.
I don't know if
You
I
assume
believe
she's
that.
accusing you
Yes,
of something.
and I
would.
answer, I don't know if I believe that.
Also, I can't even use my weapon if I
Animal
want to 12
handling.
horse. It's a two-handed sword.
I'm okay.
That's true.
I can't do it.
Are we volunteering ourselves?
Can
I'm
we
not
do a
volunteering.
perception check?
I'm just
No,
asking
no,
everyone.
Well, everyone that's watching this.
Yeah.
12.
Wow, I am a really high perception.
Oh.
15.
My
I do
dice.
not have great
yes,
perception.
Are you guys all
13.
standing together?
Yeah, we're all
More or
sitting
less,
together.
That's a
Where are you?
22.
Yeah, we gotta bring our. They're down there.
I have
Now?
good insight, but
I think we're all,
I do not.
Yeah,
We're
we're
already
all
down
together
here.
down
Okay,
there.
all right. So what you
Uh,
actually notice is that several of the nobles in the gallery sort of turn around and whisper amongst themselves, and you watch as Molkan Zaporov, the proctor, picks up a sort of a little child and whispers in his ear. He says, "Go and tell the chief. Go and tell the chief. Things are dangerously out of hand. Go now. And the proctor then looks around. I should give you his name, shouldn't I?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Did you say
You,
the proctor?
you said the right
Yeah.
name earlier, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's a good name.
It's a good
so
name.
It's long and Unfamiliar.
Molkan
Yeah.
Zara. Yeah. Fucking hell. I can get on a horse.
I'll ride the horse.
I'll ride the horse.
What is that? MOL?
I'm not ready to invent the
Misha,
game
I
of golf
think we
yet,
should
okay?
just wait.
You watch as Molkan says, Kagra, please, we have scheduled matches. There is a procedure to this. There is tradition. To hell with your Balkan tradition. Give me a foe.
Oh, they're gonna say tradition. I can go chop his horse in half.
Leave the horse out of this, Anders.
Oh hell yeah!
I
he
don't
just
think
stole it.
whoever
It's
he
not
just
even
stole
his
it
horse.
from would be very
That's the only
happy.
reason why I didn't volunteer yet.
Alright.
It's not his horse. Now if it was cough syrup, whatever his name is, horse, then yes.
If they don't want to play by the rules, we don't have to either.
This is very true.
I don't think the. Can we kill you in if we fight a horse?
So as you
Who
were
is
talking
this?
amongst themselves,
Suddenly notice the 6 foot tall.
as this is discussion
Who
is
hasn't
going on,
introduced herself to you either?
No. you watch as a tribesman, a Cossack tribesman who has a big red mask with strange wings and a turban wrapped around it. He takes off his mask slowly and he walks over to the weapon rack and he's sort of testing spears. And you can see he's about to self-elect. All right, so
This guy?
Yeah, that guy.
Okay. Nice. Put him over here. He's the guy with the weirdest helmet, so I assume it's him.
We haven't actually introduced ourselves yet, but she knows the Red Banner, and I like her shield.
It's more like a
She's gonna kneel respectfully and offer her hand. Vala Shieldheart.
Major Green Arrow.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
And she rises.
Ishal Amazi, unofficial captain of the Red Banner.
Pleasure.
It's not very unofficial.
Yeah, official captain of the Red Banner.
I'll bow again. Kajal Thunderfist at your service.
Anders Orin of the Elder Slayers.
So you notice that several Cossacks are watching you,
Mhm.
and they've actually turned their back on the orcs, and they're looking at them. Westerners and their courtesy.
and then Major, because you know she's a halfling, so that she loves stuff like this.
Two Easterners.
I'm glad we've all introduced ourselves,
Middle Eastern,
but
yeah.
I'm not quite sure what's going on, and if we should let that gentleman over there take this orc on.
Do you know about this village's traditions?
Not much of the traditions, but only what I've observed. As I was telling your gentleman friends.
Your gentleman friends, they're far from gentlemen. You've already
We
said
may have
words.
a language disconnect.
Oh no, we don't.
Alright.
They
And
were
so
expecting these
sword starts
orcs
swinging.
to arrive.
Yeah.
It's not an invasion, and from what we can see here, it's some manner of contest. But it seems that this orc is breaking the rules.
Paul's already
So-
said more words than Seeker would have said in an entire session.
Yes.
It's
yes,
Yeah.
mark that as a change.
So while Vala is speaking, you notice that almost every Cossack tribesman in that encampment at the end of the trial grounds has armed themselves and is sort of moving to the edge of the field. And at that moment, your carriage driver, Akshamet, seeing Isha has joined the company, he says, "Mistress, if it's all right with you, I will take the carriage to a safer area."
Yes.
Yeah.
Good idea.
He's gone.
Protect the horses, my guy.
Yeah, and our stuff.
And he takes it back down to the far end of the stable rig,
I figured.
where he eventually finds a
That's so
a
cute.
secure ground for it.
Adorable.
Cinderella's in there.
I'll put it here.
And so, with that that sort of obscuring factor out of the way, people are coming out of the tents, and everybody is sort of so everyone's sort of paying attention. and you notice that the red masked warrior is now in the process of picking a horse.
I have an idea. Do you?
How do you think we should proceed?
It's their tradition.
I
Let
think
them do
I
it.
don't.
we should see if they can handle this, and if they can't handle this, then the orcs are breaking the rules. We'll break the rules. We come out the winners at the end of the day, and heroes.
So you notice that Molka Zaporov is now looking out and saying, "It is clear that the orcs will pick their battles. This red-masked, impressive one is electing, but I would remind the rest of you that all victors in the matches today will dine tonight in Kamchata with the Hall and the Chiefs."
Can we bring plus ones?
I
2.
yeah,
You do have even numbers.
we do.
Are you?
Oh,
We
this
can't
is how they like to do things.
We can't even pull someone aside and ask them like.
No, because of language.
Speak to them.
No, you can't.
But we have an understanding the proctor guy, have we? What is he speaking in?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's speaking in the so-called common.
So-called common, right.
The
Okay,
coda
alright, so we
or-
have an
So
understanding
that means
some.
somebody speaks common,
Speaks
because
common.
otherwise they wouldn't understand him.
Well, what
Okay,
you
are
actually
we-
have here is there's an official dialect. There's a bureaucratic use
Like-
of common.
Right.
There's a bureaucratic use of common, but amongst themselves on the street.
It's kind of like
Okay.
French at the Olympics.
Yeah.
French of the
Okay.
Olympics.
I have a
All
question.
right.
Is there like a disparity in the equipment between these people?
Oh yeah.
Like
Right,
the orcs
obviously.
are way better armed and armored and everything.
Yeah, these orcs actually, it's alarming to see orcs with finely polished equipment.
You know that.
Okay.
Speaks
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
that's,
yeah.
that
That
says
changes.
they can't.
This guy's not on a horse yet, is he?
He's leading his horse now. He's leading his horse
No.
out.
I
Do
put
we
it-
know the rules of
to
the
the
contest?
field.
No, we do not. Or I don't.
Yeah, none of us really know the rules. We
I
just
like
know
Yusha's
that-
plan of waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think we should.
If the orcs are clearly winning, then
Let them
maybe
have
we
one
volunteer
exchange.
ourselves and we just agree that if things get ugly, we just step in and turn this into a battle royale. We've won those before.
I'd rather fight on our terms than on the terms of a competition I don't even understand.
It's jousting. Horse versus
So you watch as
Yeah, but we could
Volkan
lose their
Zaporov
favor.
strolls up the field and comes up to the horse, and he says to the assembled group, "This is the valiant Hodiak who will take on Kagra, the orc. Does he have the sanction of his people?" And all the tribesmen begin sort of shaking their spears and banging them against the ground. And he says, "In order to bring order to this competition, I declare this a valid match. You will commence on my mark." And Molkan returns to the edge of the gallery,
Oopsies.
and he stands up and he says, he turns around, he says, "If all bets have been submitted, we shall commence."
We'll watch the first match and
So
then decide.
Monjway says, in essence, we need to respect their tradition because she feels strongly about that, having come from a culture that's all about honor and
I agree.
shame.
You know, this reminds me of I'll have to tell you guys a story about this one time I entered a competition that I didn't really know a lot about.
Is that how you lost your eye?
No, that's no.
That was a giant snake.
No, but I almost did lose my life in secret. I'll tell you later. But
Okay.
the whole point is,
I didn't.
I'm kind of done jumping into these little things.
So,
fair.
just try and wait until Janet comes back.
Yeah.
The other thing is we have to assume that over time the party starts to gain some wisdom.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Yeah,
know,
no, I know, yeah.
what wisdom we had at the
Well,
beginning.
here's
Right.
one thing we want to keep
But
in
more
mind.
wisdom.
Yeah.
If we are looking
We
for
have-
elders here, which according to Vala there are,
Mhm.
we're going to probably want to get into Lord's Keep. Figure out the local legends. Maybe
Right.
get
So you're
licensed
saying
to
we
go
need
in.
to win, but do you think we all
I think-
need
No,
to
we
win?
can
I'm
still-
saying we should consider it, especially if the orcs are going to win most of the fights and we can win most of the fights.
Yeah.
I think we can take those orcs one-on-one.
I don't mean that we don't fight. I just mean that we don't immediately start breaking rules.
Oh, I'm not saying let's turn this into a battle royale. I'm
Right.
saying
Yeah.
if the orcs are
You
clearly
did
going
say
to
that
win,
earlier.
Well, he said
If we need to.
needed.
That's plan B.
Yeah.
So Mulcan has finished reciting the only 2 rules
Yes.
that are in play.
Which
Which
is
one?
plan A.
Which are?
Which is that all weapons that you can carry are legal. Any form of
See if
combat
they're
is
really
legal.
fucked.
Listen.
The contest is not over
You may
until you have slain your opponent, and you were surprised to find out that this is a combat to the death.
Yes, that's
And
right.
I'm glad
you have
we
to,
did.
you have to throw your enemy's body into the river
Oh.
to have victory declared.
So this isn't. You don't have to be mounted, so that's an important detail.
Well, that's
It's the
you're in the horseback phase.
yeah. It's
But you,
Uh,
as you watch as
Rival.
the orc chieftain, while he's hearing this litany of
Oh,
rules, he actually backs up his horse, and he takes his spear and he turns and he reaches over the outcropping to the bottom of the tower buttress, and he touches his spear to the stone, and then he brings his spear back. And
That tower.
he charges. All of a sudden he charges forward. There was no signal.
right.
He charges forward, and Hodiak at that moment has to try and spur his horse on to try and catch up. And you watch as the 2 horses come careening down the field against each other.
Yeah. He thinks he's aligned with the Elder God.
Right. They are.
Yeah. Actually,
What was the second rule? All weapons are legal. There was something else.
You have to kill.
You
I got
watch.
that.
You watch as both
Turn
parties
your enemy's
miss.
body into the river.
Um,
Yeah. Something else.
with this, hearing the murmurs of the possible Elder God thing, Andrew did roll a nat 20 for divine sensing and elder energy in the area.
Okay, you rolled a nat 20.
Yes, I did.
Oh, nat
Okay,
20.
you
Yes.
are you're on some level are absolutely going nuts because the town is slowly being suffused with elder energy, the sort of forbidding presence of the elder gods, emanating from the sealed fortress beyond and the tower as well.
Do you react physically?
I imagine him was probably like
Verbally?
this, like
Isha's gonna like come over and like touch you on your shoulder and ask if you're okay.
oh.
Don't touch it.
Shut up.
Meanwhile, the horsemen have
Major
pulled another
Major
round.
scribbles in a notebook. Wait, back under story is that she
Major-
secretly
All
starts
right,
writing fan fiction
Hodiak
about the
missed,
2
but Kagra has hit.
Oh no. Okay.
When you do
oh.
that,
No,
you
that's
just
bad.
whispered
That's
you.
bad. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's legit bad.
Fortress.
Okay. He strikes Hodiak in the shoulder, and the spear goes clean through the shoulder plating and out
Damn
the
it.
back.
Damn it. Ow, 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 ow.
But he continues to ride
Of
on.
course.
He does not fall off, which
Shit.
you're amazed by this.
Yes.
But he is bleeding profusely and now has essentially a gaping hole in his shoulder.
We've all been there.
We've all had
He just
gaping
looks
wounds in
at
our
you.
shoulders.
The horsemen turn for another round. And Kagra has hit again, and Hodiak has missed.
Damn it.
I don't like this Kagra guy.
I don't think anybody here does. He's
And
too good.
he has broken Hodiak's spear and slashed open his forearm from the wrist to the elbow.
Oh.
Ugh. Same arm.
Can't
Yeah.
say I've been.
Oh.
Same arm.
Oh.
And in fact, Hodiak is listening in the saddle,
Oh, no.
and you watch as Kagra basically jumps off his horse,
Nice.
scampers over, and pulls Hodiak down,
Nice.
and takes his spear and jams it into his
Not
neck.
nice.
He then drags him by the neck
Mhm.
over to the river and tosses it in. The orcs are cheering madly.
Can we
What
rename
a
this guy
sick
Achilles
bastard.
and that guy Hector? 'Cause that's
Right,
just
he's
literally
just
just what
polluting the
happened.
river, man.
Yeah.
Right. And then you
What
watch
is
as you
right?
watch as the blood in the river begins to stain it red, and Kagra is basically stirring the water with Hodiak's body.
What a sick bitch.
Yeah.
What would happen
Orcs.
if
Ugh.
can someone go to the river and start reviving people? What happens to their wind if the person they killed is revived?
Oh, you can try it.
I don't think the rules are that complex.
Yeah.
I also would not advise trying to revive someone the orc just killed. Especially when the
In front
orc
of the
is
Right
really
there.
enjoying it.
It still has him on the end of
So
his
you watch as the Cossacks are hurling insults at this orc, but the nobles in the gallery are kind of talking to each other. they're confused by this.
Mhm.
And you can see Molcan is kind of chattering at one noble in common, saying, "No, I won't be invited to the hall. No."
So
Wish I had
Montre
that
flashes
invisibility cloak.
back to the people sneaking away earlier, and she's gonna tell you guys that she's going to check out some warriors that she saw,
Mhm.
who were going in the opposite direction. She's going to investigate.
Good. That's a good plan.
Okay, so Majue is slipping away.
So she's
What's
slipping away.
Are you trying to be stealthy about it?
Yes.
Or, okay. Do
Can we
you
roll?
do you want to give me a stealth check?
Yes. Okay. I have no place to be right now. Can you remind me what stealth is added?
It's
to
a
it? Oh, here it is.
Dex.
Dexterity, yeah.
Well, yeah. So with all the commotion, it's not too difficult for you to disappear into the
Okay.
crowd.
Okay.
And you can basically see now that Molcan is kind of stepping forward once again, and he's saying, in light of this unorthodox match, if no one will challenge Kagra, we will advance him to the next round.
Oh,
I will.
Oh, nice.
Ah,
Oh,
Just-
yes, Vala.
Yeah.
I don't know her name yet. Well, I know her name, but
Yeah,
like,
we know her name.
but
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Do I have to use a spear? Or can I use my glaive?
You can use any
any
weapon.
weapons
You
that
use a
can
glaive?
carry.
Oh, I
know
because
one,
y'all
yeah.
very well might bone.
Wait. Oh my God!
It's totally gonna be.
Major
I told you she had a lot.
Major is literally writing
So-
Düthara fan
but
fiction.
you do
this,
have
the rest
to-
of this. This
you
is
have
just
to
so
do it
much
in
she's
horseback.
doing.
Is this
A what?
actually-
You have to
Horseback?
do it from
Is-
horseback.
Okay, I don't know
Actually
anything
shipping.
about
It
how this
might
works,
be.
so you're gonna have to walk me through
See how
it.
the rest of this
Maybe
session
just in her
unfolds.
journal.
In my
You
journal.
need an animal
what it
handling
says?
score.
Ooh,
An animal.
handling.
Okay,
Wisdom.
well, yeah, I have. I mean,
So tell me what you do
Otherwise-
then. You pull out your glaive. Then what?
Yes, please
Um,
subscribe to Blake.
Oh,
well, I'd go to the horses.
You just
To the
walk over the
horses.
horses. No one's paying attention to you. Because you're just walking over the horses.
Oh, well, no, I walked up and announced first.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes,
I will
I will.
Tell me what you
That
say.
was a real
In game. That was.
Well, he said if no one else will challenge him,
At
right?
that moment you speak.
And I said, I will challenge him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And walked forward through the crowd.
So you walk across the field then, or?
Well, I was here,
All right.
so I walked
So
to
you
there.
step forward then. All eyes turn and stare at you, and you watch as the Cossacks, and with a hint of respect in their eyes, then sort of look at you and nod, particularly at your height. And you watch as one of them leads a sort of white-footed charger, sleek, powerful warhorse
nice.
over to you, and lowers the stirrup for you.
Vala.
And
And
you
climbs up.
mount the horse, and you ride it onto the field. Give me your animal handling score.
Score or roll?
Like
Just
that.
roll. Give me your check. Animal handling.
So it's like half.
Oh,
I'm
unnatural
Struggling
20.
with
Oh, okay. All right. So you notice the horse is very responsive. Seems to synchronize well with you. Something about the size of the horse and your size. It's not used to having a rider so large. It seems to. There's a good fit. Let's put it that way. So you ride it onto the field, and you actually notice that from the other end of the battleground, Kagra, the orc chieftain, utters a war cry, and I need
Please don't die, Bob.
a
Please don't.
Constitution check.
Oh boy.
Don't be afeard.
Well, I
Just
don't
utter a
know.
roar cry
Oh, I'm
back.
not within 10 feet, so I can give you aura protection.
Well, if I have my own aura of
You get
protection,
You can get your own.
do I get it?
Yes, you get your own.
Okay.
Yes, you get it. That's a valid
So
question.
it's bonus equal to your charisma modifier.
Some of that doesn't work like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you guys in the same class?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
We don't know that yet in game.
Right, and I don't know that, so it's
None
okay
of
to
us
ask that
know.
question.
Wait,
Whereabouts might Monjway be? Maybe
Oh, yeah,
over
by
near
now?
the fountain?
Where were you going?
So
I'm going this way. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's going on over
13.
here.
You are not afeared, but it is drawing
Yeah.
on as much courage as you're capable of mustering.
okay, which
and you
means she's
feel
going
you feel
like this.
strange about this because this is quote unquote just an orc. but it is not just an orc.
Oh, she knows. Just
Give me your initiative.
13 again.
Okay, 13 beats an 11. You
Whew.
have initiative.
Yes.
Okay, so do I just
So
charge
you're charging
them?
down the field.
Yep.
I can go.
And what do I roll?
An attack roll.
Just a regular
Straight.
attack roll?
Yeah, because you got an animal. Your animal handling was successful.
Okay. So that's a 21.
Yay.
That is a hit.
Yes. Roll
And
for that damage.
Should be a D10.
yeah, it's a D10.
Please explain this weapon to Beth.
Yes,
Do not
please.
know what it is.
It's like a long. It's like a spear, but the end it's like this big blade.
Oh, I know.
If you Google it, you'll know
I know what
exactly
it is.
what
I know what
We
it
know.
is. Okay, now I know. Now I
It's like a
know.
halberd,
It's
Yes.
not
Bless
it's not the
you.
same as a helmet.
but it's the same weapon family as a
Similar.
halberd.
Yeah.
This is
Imagine
a
like
D10,
No,
right?
I
a
know
scimitar
exactly
blade
what
at the
it is.
end.
Yep.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it's got a zero.
I just never
Looking
heard
at
the
them.
name before. I've just
Okay,
seen
so
it.
that's
What's it called again?
11 damage.
11
Nice.
Nice.
That's
So
pretty
yeah,
good.
so you actually sort of cut through the armor at his side, and your glaive goes underneath his sort of rib cage, and it cuts into him. But he managed to get his arm out and just narrowly goes by and slices into him, and the two horses pass like this. And when he slashes down with his spear, he scores a 20, which I believe is a hit.
Yeah, it is.
And,
You're pretty high. What's your AC?
18.
That's
Not
nice.
bad,
That's good though.
Actually better than mine.
Are you a 17 like me?
Yeah, I'm 17.
and you take 12 points damage.
Oh.
That's like nothing.
I know,
70 HP.
Oh my
I
god.
know.
I was
I
Shit,
know.
you're
Those
stacked.
fucking paladins.
Fucking hell.
Seventy.
Okay,
34.
So you basically
74.
clashed right in the midfield.
I'm so
And
soft.
when you get to the either end, you
You're squishy.
turn your horses once again. Can I get an animal handling check?
Oh, every damn time?
Oh boy.
This is why I rather fight on foot.
Well,
Yes.
wouldn't we
I
all?
forgot. Yeah.
19.
19.
Oh,
That's
shit.
successful.
Why
Yes.
it's why I didn't jump in there.
Okay, you charge down again.
I
Give me your attack roll.
Well, I have a plan too.
Ah!
No.
That was a 1.
She dropped her weapon.
That one, you drop your weapon.
Damn it.
Damn it. Jump off your horse.
What is this? A Knight's Tale?
That was the whole
Oh my
time.
god, I know.
And Kagra hits you with a 19. Is that a 19? Is that a hit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
19.
Hold on, I'm still behind on the map. Terrible at this.
And that is
16.
11 points damage.
Alright.
And you turn again at the end of the field. Give me your animal handling check.
I end up dead because of this.
I swear
I don't
to
think
God.
any of us would let that happen. Meta.
Yeah, I should
I
hope
know.
not.
Well, good job.
Yeah, if we know she knows about the red banner, I will bolt that guy before I let
Yeah.
her die.
Oh, it'd be like an echo.
Yeah.
14.
Okay, that's a successful check. You charge down again, and you meet at the center of the field.
Well,
But
good.
I have, can I say I have drawn my sword?
Yep.
So I've drawn my sword. Oh, come on.
I don't know
Well,
where to put this.
13.
How
13.
many feet away?
That
no,
is a
you're-
miss.
Damn it.
Gosh darn it.
And he also misses with an 8. However, when he passes your glaive,
That son of a bitch.
Oh, fucking hell.
he attempts to pick it up but fails.
Yes.
And the horses turn at the end of the field. Give me your animal handling check.
Oh,
I just want to say that I start slamming my sword against my shield,
Okay.
and I'll start chanting your name in Nordic.
Aww.
Aw.
Yeah.
13.
Ship it.
Okay.
I
So
do
I
now.
know.
Madri's
Yeah.
taking note in her
Okay.
head.
roll advantage on that.
On the animal handling?
Nice.
18.
Because you didn't pass, but you passed when you heard Kajal.
Oh, thank
You didn't
I was hoping it would help.
You
Yay.
didn't successfully bring the animal around until you heard Kajal chanting your name. At which
Oh.
point,
Since we're
at which point, the
co-leaders,
authority in your wrist on the reins brought the
Sure.
animal to heel.
Anders is
Give
gonna
me
say
your
if anyone
attack.
minds, if things go south, I'm gonna cast Hold Person on the orc.
I can guide and bolt him.
Sounds like a
19.
I'll
That is a
stab.
hit. Roll for damage.
She winks.
8 points.
8 points
Okay.
damage.
Okay.
Nice,
Alright.
nice.
And its attack. That's going to be a 22.
Damn it.
Also, I forgot to add because I leveled up, so I
Oh,
have 40 points. Hit points 40.
Did you roll new help?
Yeah.
13 points damage.
What was it?
13 points damage.
She's fine.
No, I'm still worried. Still worried.
Isha's like respect is growing though.
Hell yeah.
I'm
Tall
still
woman
chanting.
take all
I'm not
these
gonna
hits.
stop chanting.
So, roll your animal handling score with advantage.
Oh, cool. Oh, thank God. One of them was a 1.
Oh.
21.
All right, roll your attack roll. The horses charge again. Meet at the center of the
She
field.
had 20 to turn to a Pegasus.
Oh, it's an 8. Wait, no. Well, it didn't hit. It didn't hit. I rolled a 4.
And the orc also misses. You pass by. And you turn again at the end of the field. Give me your animal handling check.
Am I still rolling with
Andrew's just
advantage?
gonna get a little closer just in case he needs to react.
Oh my God!
No.
That was 2 1s. I fell.
You fell off
Double
your horse.
1.
You're gonna have.
Oh, shit.
Do you take damage from falling?
No, we don't. But
Get a new
the
die.
orc is now bearing down on you with advantage because he is
That's
mounted
3
and you are not.
If anyone knew him, Andrew's just like dropped to reach for the
Yeah.
Oh
you
yeah,
do.
yeah. I'm just watching.
I make
Madri's
friends
had her-
fast.
Madri's had her hand on her the sword the whole goddamn
Well, my sword's
time.
out because I've been using it to
What do I
power.
got?
You rolled a 1 and a 2.
Oh! She don't need us. She don't need us.
I'm actually hoping you don't
So
have to.
I know, me
I'm
too.
going to say that
Same.
Kagra has fallen from his horse.
Oh, hell yeah.
Thank
he lands
God.
and rolls and rises, and
Good.
you are on foot from melee
Okay.
combat.
That's badass.
Throw those
Hell.
horses away.
Okay.
Yeah, I
so-
love this.
Ooh, this is
Oh,
good.
this is good.
Like you have like
Okay.
won
So
all
I'm
of our
pulling my
hearts
shield
today.
Okay.
out.
All right.
I'm so
And
glad
Give me
she's the one who volunteered because this is like.
This
I
is
was
good.
literally
This is
about
good.
character
to.
You did.
establishment.
I heard you.
It's good.
That's
I
why
felt like that was what you were gunning for the whole time. So,
Well, that's one reason why I didn't
Oh,
jump.
I never know what you guys. I never know what you
This
guys.
is
so that's a 19 to hit.
Ooh,
Okay, that's a hit.
fuck him up.
Oh, I'll need this stuff.
Roll the damage.
Yeah, she don't need us.
Yeah.
7.
Okay.
Nice.
His attack. He misses with a 4.
That's a nat 20.
Yes!
So what? Is it 2
2d8.
Yeah, so
D8?
you just
Well,
don't
it's not my blade anymore.
Oh,
it's
then
my
two-
sword.
Sword.
It's a
Yeah.
double
Yeah.
dice then.
Are you using it with one hand or two hands?
One hand.
Then 2d8.
Yeah, because she has her shield up.
It's a long
okay.
sword. It's not a.
Oh, you can use a long sword with 2 hands to get it damage.
Disadvantage.
No, you get 1d10
Okay.
damage.
His first roll.
That's why I asked.
That's a D10. I'm bad at this.
It's okay.
Finding the right die.
Me too. I have to freaking count the sides. Like
Thanks.
the worst.
Count the
I
size.
do them like 1, 2.
Oh
3.
wow.
Oh, my dad was nice to you.
Wait. Okay. 8 plus 6 plus 4 is 20, right?
Yeah.
No,
Wait, no,
18.
it's 18.
18.
18 points damage.
Nice.
Holy shit! Yeah.
Not bad.
Yo.
So you basically have just slashed him across the chest, and his breastplate sort of opens, and just you've cut into him.
He's
He's sort of
actually
bleeding. There's that ugly, slick, blue, black orc blood coming out, but he watches the armor, which was sort of tightly molded to him, kind of peels back,
Major
and he sort of looks down at the wound, and he's like this. His eyes sort of widen because of the pain.
And Vala, smile.
Major just like like a shocked like yelp.
It's not even like a cocky smile. It's just a
I
genuine.
just keep saying
Genuine-
just louder. And
Yeah,
just-
no, and now like Major's
He
in
misses
on
you
it.
again with a 2.
Yes, Major is in on the cheering now.
Yeah.
Because
Isha's
that,
like
yeah.
pounding on her shield.
Mhm.
You actually notice that while when your horses have been sort of ignored, that the horse that Vala was riding has sort of walked over to Kajal and Madri.
I'll just,
You're not quite sure
I'll
why.
I'm looking at you
Because
like,
you're so
what
small.
are you doing?
I'll pat its neck.
All right.
And I'm like, what are you
What
doing?
was your attack roll?
Oh, I keep dropping it.
It's just, I'm just staring at it very nervously.
So 14.
I don't like horses.
14 is a miss.
Ah. You win some, you lose some.
This is true.
And he misses with a 3.
Whoa.
I forgot I get 2 attacks. I remember now that I have 2 attacks.
I remember found them.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's why. So
No,
it's a good
they're not
thing that
here.
you're here.
Yeah.
You're not used to it because rogues, I think, only get one.
You only get one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say-
So that's a nat 20 on that first attack.
Oh my god.
Damn. You're working it.
17.
Okay.
She hits.
17 points damage. Jesus. So
Second
at
attack?
that moment, when he sees
Oh.
you come in, and you for your so that's your first attack.
Right.
Yeah.
He sees your first attack, and he sees you draw back for the second attack. He tries to back away, but make your second attack.
Do it. Do it.
Nice.
Yeah, I rolled a 15 plus 7, so
22.
22 is a hit.
thanks for doing the math.
I'll always
Jared,
do
I literally just I was telling Brian
12
about
points
that. I'm like,
damage.
Jared always adds
12
your dice up
points
for us.
damage.
This is the best.
So when he then that second attack comes in, it's a thrust, and you catch him in the opposite shoulder. He actually stands back. It looks like this, but he notices that you've hit him twice there, and he has his spear in his one hand. He reaches behind him and pulls on an axe, and he's now coming towards you,
Not
making
doing.
2 attacks. And with a 19 is a hit.
Heck.
What's your AC with the shield up?
It was 18. Oh, I guess I was kind of cheap.
That's 10 points for the first attack. And with his second attack,
You got chain
that
knuckles.
is a 17. What's your AC?
18.
18.
He misses his second attack.
Thank Yay. goodness.
Yeah.
Down to 24.
Oh fuck.
Okay, so
It'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
It'll be okay. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be
Alright,
great.
so attack number 1 is an 18. Wait, no. 22
It's a hit.
something.
22.
22.74.
22
Yeah,
or
7,
something.
4, 5.
Like pi.
Yeah, 3.1.
11 points.
Oh, jeez.
Second attack.
Second attack. Second attack. Second attack.
Oh, she's fine.
23.
That's a hit.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck them up.
God
Fuck
damn.
them up.
Paladin pride.
11.
11.
11's your. You should play,
So
play that.
you
number.
actually you
Play a couple
came
of these
forward and
numbers
you
tomorrow.
slashed through his midsection, and when he stared down again, and his breastplate is just rent with these kind of opening wounds, and then you bring your blade back across his midsection. You went straight through the middle, and he starts to collapse like this forward, but he throws his spear at you,
This
and
last
with
shot.
a 22, he
Damn.
hits you.
You know what? Respect.
15 points down.
She's not down.
So the
Not
spear,
down.
the
I
spear
know,
actually just
but-
embeds itself in your thigh.
Ooh.
Goes right through your armor and out the back,
You're good.
out the back of the leg. He falls
Nothing but
He's
forward.
got a
More-
tattoo in
He
her
falls
thigh.
forward like this, and he's basically bleeding out. But
But
his head is going like
stabbing
this. And he's
stuff? Right.
snarling at you, and he's hurling
No, I mean,
obscenities
I know,
at
I
you.
I
know.
think you feel more like,
Okay, well,
vulnerable to.
That's
Mentally.
true.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
strike
true.
at
I
him
know the
again
pain.
first
Yeah.
before
Not
I
that
try to
pain.
start dragging him.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Down by
Definitely
the
try to
river.
knock him out.
It's a 19.
Yeah, he's dead. He only had 1 hit point left.
Yes!
Any
Okay.
damage you did.
So having done that, she's gonna reach down, grab him, and try to just kind of limp, dragging him over to the river.
So you have his
Because she's
spear.
following the rules.
You
Yes.
have his spear embedded in your thigh,
Yeah.
and you're dragging him over.
I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Majorie runs over. Her tiny little ass self also starts to help drag him to the river.
All right. So at that moment, you watch as the orcs run forward, and you hear infraction.
I turn around immediately and
Infraction.
you want a fucking infraction? Let's go.
Mhm.
And at that moment,
I've been
Volkan
waiting.
Zaporov steps forward and goes, "No infraction, I rule. It is a child. It is a child. It is a child."
Lala takes a moment to pause, looks at Major, and just winks.
Yeah. And I just kind of like put
Covered in blood.
Yeah,
And
but like
Zaporov steps forward and goes, "It is a child. It is the tall woman's daughter. It is the tall woman's daughter. We will allow it. Blood for blood. A family is one. We will allow it."
It's true. Yep, I can. Doesn't actually do that. She'll let it happen, but she won't
So
actually
I was going
verbally
to have
agree.
you make a strength check with disadvantage
Yes.
to drag this orc, but
Oh my
I'm going to
God.
say that Major's help offsets the disadvantage. So give me your
Oh
strength
my
check.
god.
That was so funny.
Amazing.
So it's
Nice.
a straight
Amazing.
strength, right? I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
Anyone else ran.
Anyone
Not
else
an
ready to
athletics
be
check,
fucked?
right?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, anybody else ready to be fucked?
It's a 16.
So between the two of you, you're able to drag this corpse over. The orcs are furiously howling. The Cossack tribesmen are cheering, just madly. And you drag this orc's body, and it's bleeding out with the organs. There's bits of entrails on the grass behind you,
Good.
and you heave it up on the bank, over the rocks, and into the river.
Right before she pushes it in, Vala says, "Forgive me," because she does feel kind of bad about putting this refuse in that water.
But you watch as the orc blood begins to dissipate in the water, and you notice it fades very, very quickly. The river seems to recover its purity only a few yards up bank. And just you watch as the orc blood, which is foul and black and sort of deep crimson, begins to fade just before it disappears, and you notice that it becomes this kind of bright yellow color, and for a moment you wonder if it's not the waving hair of a goddess in the river.
How is that awesome?
And then it disappears.
That is so bizarre.
It's my goddess.
Yeah.
The orc corpse just
Nothing but
sinks to
respect
the
for my
bottom out
goddess.
of sight.
Vala kind of turns to Majorie and just says, "My glaive," and gestures. She needs something to use as a walking stick.
Is she gonna get the spear out of her leg?
I mean, yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
Now she just wants to get out of the way.
Out of the way? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I can do cure wounds, but there's an arrow there, so I don't want to do that right now. So the glaive is still on the ground, so I'd run over and drag it. Drag
I
it
think
back.
here's
And Vala says, "Thank you," and uses it to
and
lift
then
away.
I go, "You're welcome, mother."
And Vala just laughs. This full-bodied laughter, even though she's
So you still
9
have,
hit
you
points.
still have this orc's spear.
Yeah.
It is extending a
Yeah.
foot out the back of
Yeah.
your thigh.
Yeah.
I'm limping to the sidelines
You're
where I
limping
can
to the sidelines.
take
Yeah.
care of business.
And
Yeah.
you notice that the orcs are all hissing at you. Some of them are spitting at you, but the Cossacks tribesmen are pushing them back like this, and it's very close to becoming a brawl.
Yeah.
What are you
She's
guys
just
doing?
ignoring them. She has a spear in her leg.
I'll take on any one of you. You know what? 2 on 1. Let's go right now. You gonna spit at her? I'll kill you.
Vala's putting a hand on his shoulder and just like,
I love
calm
this
yourself.
Could y'all
so
give me an
much.
intimidation check?
It's all
I'm good at
going in
that.
my brain.
I will intimidate if he doesn't, because I get advantage.
I'll intimidate
I get
him.
so do I.
17.
17. So you
That
notice,
guy's
It's
smart.
Wait.
you notice that the orcs that you're kind of looking at are kind of go like this. They kind of back away, and at that moment, Volkan Zaporov steps forward and says, "We will not have chaos here. We will not have chaos.
Can we do it too?
I declare this the only match of the day. We will commence in the morning when cooler heads shall prevail. This concludes the day.
Oh, I was gonna suggest a 2 on 2.
This concludes the day." And the orcs sort of heckle him, but the Cossack tribesmen kind of push them, and very, very quickly there's a ring of Cossacks around these orcs, and you find yourself part of this ring.
Oh, that's fine.
As if
with
they
me.
kind of built it around
That's
you or
fine.
with you. And the orcs kind of look around like this, and they look at the river, and they realize that their chieftain is dead.
Mhm.
And they begin to sort of back away.
Mm-hmm.
And a few yards up the road, they resume their formation. They begin to disappear through
Good.
through
Yeah,
the
but
maze.
just-
At the mention of chaos, Vala kind of shook her head and under her breath was like, "You invite orcs into your home and are surprised at the chaos."
And
Did you
just-
say that to anybody in particular?
Like whoever's around that can hear.
Major definitely heard that.
Victory Pringles.
Victory Pringles.
Yeah.
And then wait,
That's
was
what I was
like anybody
feeling.
around us?
Well, basically, it's sort of
It's
a
just
stand-down
right.
situation.
Okay.
Just about everybody realized that very nearly a massacre broke out. I mean, there would have been a dozen deaths one way or the other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even the Cossacks would not have gone unscathed in this.
Right.
Because these orcs are formidable. And you know, there's actually discussion amongst the nobles that speak common. You hear discussion about the facts that the orcs are not disappearing. They're just encamped outside the city. They'll be back the next day.
Do you want help with the spear?
Yeah, I was just about to offer that.
You should get this
Yep,
healing
yep,
spell ready.
Yep.
Anderson's just gonna basically grab the spear with
Yeah.
both hands and
Just
yank it out.
like, one, count of 3.
Yeah,
1, 2.
Just yanks it out.
Give me something to bite on first.
Oh no, he doesn't do that. It's like, you just survived a battle with an orc. You can handle this.
Yeah, I'm sure she's fine.
Oh my.
I'll hand you a ration.
Alright,
Yeah.
so
Thanks.
yeah, Madry's like kind of like
I'll heal you
What's
at,
Marjorie do?
let's say, level
So-
2.
What was Marjorie doing? She was going to the
She
Shire
was
of the Blessed
making
Elements.
through the
Probably
city to try
trying
to get over
So
here.
you would have heard over your shoulder just the chaos and
Yeah.
the cheering and the chanting and the bizarre sort of
And the surgery.
the reactions.
Yeah.
But you can see that basically a number of guards have taken up positions at the base of this spire, the base of this pointed tower.
There.
Yeah,
Secret
and
dice.
you notice that there's an arched first floor. There's 4 arched walls on the first floor, and inside you can see there is a some kind of a pool. There's some kind of ornate carved fountain, and every now and then one of the guards sort of goes in and just dips their hands in the water and rubs their hands together, and then puts it back on their armaments. You don't know what the reason for that is.
Oh, wait, no, sorry.
Okay.
That's
So Valley, your thigh is just inflamed.
But
It's-
do I
it's-
recognize-
It's burning for
Sorry.
pain because of this orc weapon. Yeah.
Before you go on, do I
He
recognize
did
any
surgery.
of the guys
28.
that were down at the market? Because that's what I'm looking for.
Hopefully I'll get a chance to
To see if anybody is actually
If you ask,
missing
a
from
natural 20
the
of strength.
the general area that we're in. Because they were headed that way.
They were
remember?
they were going to
Oh,
the
they
spire.
were going to the spire.
They were
Okay.
going to
All right.
the
We
spire.
were under the impression that they were going this way.
No, they were
Okay.
going to guard.
All right. So
the
I
spire.
recognize some people
Yeah,
from the
this is
market.
this is the local militia,
Okay.
the reserve, if you will.
Weird. Okay. So I'm gonna go back and report what I saw.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So
Come back
Manjway
and find
comes
them all
back.
gathered around
Around.
the stranger who's bleeding.
So where are you guys doing? This
Uh,
are you?
Well, we're probably just doing it right on the street.
yeah, it's a
probably.
battlefield.
Yeah, so basically, you notice that several of the sort of tribal elders amongst the Cossacks are kind of beckoning you to come over to their tents, and they're sort of putting hot water on fires and sort of warming rags, and they're sort of offering you food, and you get the impression that you have their appreciation.
Well, we
for
did
it.
the
Excellent.
surgery. I rolled an unnatural 20 to yank the spear out, and then you should be healing right
So
afterwards.
I'm up to 28
Okay.
hit points.
Yeah.
Alright.
And I actually will do investigate on the spear because I'm curious about it.
Yeah, it is a powerful orc weapon, and it has some magical capability, and probably extending from the shrunken heads that were hanging from the.
So I was dragging a body with a spear in my leg, with
Hi.
shrunken heads hanging off
And
of
those
it.
shrunken
You're the
heads.
That's how you make an impression.
That you're the most
The shrunken heads were basically hanging from the spearhead, so they went through the wound. They dragged clear through the wound.
the most badass bitch, man.
Don't
Yeah.
fuck around.
You know.
So you
I did
basically
shout
are-
when he yelled that out, and I'm not ashamed. When he pulled that out, and I'm not ashamed.
Good.
Well,
So
after
how many
you're
hit
done,
points did you get back?
She's up at 28 now.
I'm up to 28. Yeah,
Okay.
got
all right.
19 hit points.
So what are the
back.
rest of you doing?
he'll
So
offer the
wait,
spear
I
back,
was
too. Like,
telling
I
them.
guess this is yours.
I don't think that they
Alright.
heard.
Yeah.
Some
Gonna get rid of that shrunken
So-
heads
Yeah.
though.
If
I
you,
wouldn't.
okay, for whoever's
Wouldn't?
listening,
It's
It's okay.
what
the
I
Neon's
saw was what I saw over at the tower was that there are a number of guards that for some reason they're like these arched. Are they openings? I couldn't quite follow what you were.
listening. You can see. Look at
describing.
the tower.
Right, but I don't see anything.
Which
arched.
tower? This
down
was
at the
for
base.
The
Andrew.
walls on the base of the tower are arched.
So for Andrew's clarification, that one. Okay.
Oh, that one.
Yes.
I
the
thought you were
spire.
talking about this.
No.
Okay,
no,
okay.
no.
So,
The spire.
the guys that are guarding that tower keep occasionally dipping their hands in the water that's inside the lower level, and then holding their weapons again.
Let me do to
I-
recall the.
But I say that in a Mondway way.
Yes. I think that water must hold some sort of special
Magical properties.
Significant.
significance.
It
like I was
eliminated
saying before.
I
the
think it does.
blood from the orc surprisingly quickly.
Is it the same water?
Eliminated like it was soaking it up happily, or eliminated like it
Dissipated.
This means 1 and 2
What
things.
did you see when it dissipated?
I thought it might have been the hair of my goddess in the waters. But I don't know.
That doesn't add
Some
up.
goddess, perhaps.
I sensed incredible elder energy. I'm suspecting something completely opposite.
Really?
Yes. Elder energy is all over this place, particularly at the large tower and beyond that. Is it a fortress, for clarification?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it looks
Fortress.
like a big thing. Big
Yeah,
honking thing.
And you haven't actually looked at it, but
Right.
you can see the walls between the
Yeah,
gaps
so
in the
Right,
just
yeah,
for
we know it's there.
being appropriate to the setting. So there's a lot of elder energy here, and the water seems to be heading towards that fortress. I'm suspecting.
I don't know if the water is the source.
Yeah, unless the water is the one thing keeping this town from completely.
It seems
falling
cleansing to me, the waters. I can't speak to the tower.
I'm just saying we have to keep all possibilities open.
Oh, you have the impression that the water's flowing that way. The water's flowing that way.
Out. Yeah, it's
Right.
flowing out.
Away.
Oh, away from the
Yeah,
tower.
it's
Away
flowing.
from-
So
way.
again, okay.
Yeah.
In that case, Andrews is even more affirmed that this the
Mhm.
water must be somehow connected to the elder. Now we can hold on to the small glimmer of hope that it is in fact the younger gods that power it. But I would probably need to eat, drink, and pray, not necessarily in that order, for clarification.
And I will need some rest.
Imagine we'll have to explain ourselves to some of the people here.
And at that moment, you notice that Molkan Zaporov is standing behind you and he says, "Yes, indeed, you must explain, but I will welcome newcomers, particularly ones who are capable of slaying an orc chieftain. You have our gratitude for your victory today.
It was a pleasure.
It is our tradition in these matches to invite all victors to dine the evening of the first day at the chief's hall. You will be most welcome if you wish to join us."
Can she bring some dates? And she links arms.
What about
Well, given that I am the only victor of this evening, would there perhaps be some extra libations for my friends?
It cannot be promised, but if you come to the hall at nightfall, if there is space available, I will put in a word with the chief.
I can ask no more.
Indeed. We shall see you at nightfall, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
He bows and he turns and he walks away.
But I myself eating and drinking properly.
As I'm going to get a drink.
Is there a church?
They're nomadic. Yes,
He's
he's asking.
That looks like one. But that looks like all churches right there in front
I
of
have
me.
to.
Yeah, that's the
That's the
water
well,
place.
well, that would make sense so that if that
Oh,
was
that's
their
the
place-
spire. I thought we were still talking
No,
about
no,
the
Yeah,
tower.
no,
Okay.
there was
No,
much
no.
confusion.
Anders would be like, tower bad,
but it would make,
fortress worse.
but it would make sense though that that would be their church.
He does.
Sorts.
It's times
Right.
like
I'm saying this meta, not
Like a
not his
temple,
major.
yeah.
It's times like this that
would be
Sif is sometimes helpful for him. Sometimes.
such a badass. That's so good.
I'm so pleased with how that went.
That
love
went
her.
really well.
She's marvelous.
I was pleased as well. 'Cause you
This
can
is what I
control-
wanted to be able to do. This kind of thing.
Yeah.
Without dying immediately, like Seaford.
Oh God. Good Lord's in heaven.
Well,
That
and
was
you
close.
can control
It
your,
wasn't close. But
you know, your ideas and your choices, but you can't control the die.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Well, no,
Work
but
to your favorites.
Seaford doesn't have 70 HP. She has
Yeah, right.
40.
Right.
So you notice that as the minutes pass after Molkan has come up to speak to you, that the sort of townsfolk and some of the Cossack tribesmen are coming up to you, and some of them are giving you little trinkets and things. They're giving you like little bits of silver or little bits of carved bone, or they're putting sort of candies or little sort of woven bits of leather into your hand, just little offerings.
It's great.
Major's
You're like a
so
little
touched.
goddess now.
You are.
Yeah, she's
Major's so touched.
yeah.
Right.
That's cool.
So you guys are
Val is
just
being very gracious.
you're hanging out at the Cossack encampment there.
Well, Anders is looking for anything that's remotely resembling a holy site that he actually feels is not elder.
So how are you looking? Are you just gazing
Um,
across?
Vala would ask him to let her know when he finds one.
I guess actually, he might just. He'll go to the place where people were cleaning themselves. What Major is meant, not Major, Mountain was mentioning.
Yeah.
So he's gonna go here.
So you go over to that spire.
He's just gonna, I guess, do perception before he gets too close because he doesn't want to
Right.
interfere with the guards.
Right.
Did he mention that he wanted to eat out
Eat.
loud?
Yeah, he said eat, drink, and pray, not necessarily in that order.
Okay.
He's gonna pray.
So
So he's gonna do pray.
Montre will have given him a marinated fish.
Oh,
Cool. So he's going to be nibbling on the fish while perceiving, which is probably why he rolls a pitiful score,
Yes.
which is a 6.
Nibbles perceivingly.
Perceivingly.
Nipples perceptively.
No, actually, it's just nibbles because he
'Cause
did not perceive.
Nibbles
All right.
Just
So,
so,
six
just so
for
intrigued by the
Spire.
Nibbles
Yeah,
blindly.
so you're not
Just so
getting any
overwhelmed
particular
by the
read on
taste.
it, but you can't. It's,
deliciousness.
it can't be anything else. It has no habitational value. It's not purely decorative. Ergo, you can only conclude it has some religious significance.
So gobbles down fish, and I will roll to prey.
Roll to pray.
Roll to pray.
So tell me exactly what you do, because the guards at the base of this tower are staring at you, the spire.
He's just gonna look, close his eyes, and just focus and just pray internally.
All
And
right.
then he's gonna he's not gonna do it for more than a few seconds, so that will justify any bad rolls.
Okay.
And just walk away because he doesn't want to interrupt them.
All right. So,
So
give me
he's
a
not
wisdom
trying to
check.
go inside. So what do we have to?
Yeah, and just okay, yeah. Place the fire. No, actually that's interrupted by the thing. 17.
Alright.
17. So you close your eyes, and your sort of your religious sensibilities reach out, and you have a sort of strange sensation, sort of that feeling in the back of your neck. You feel a warm wind rustling against your hair, and of course, golden locks. That's going on.
It's Goldilocks.
And you sort of feel the sort of moisture of sweat evaporating off your brow. Then for some reason you feel a kind of warmth in your feet. And then you become aware of the sort of hard earth beneath your feet. And just those strange sort of sensations. You've never actually had that kind of religious response. When you open your eyes and you stare up at the spire, you see firelight coming from the arched top of it. And you glance past the guards at the base, and you see the fountain inside, the pool that Manjouet had mentioned. And you find that must be significant. Fire at the top and water at the bottom. You have seen in different places, and any cleric with any training would be aware of the importance of elemental symbolism in religion. And you find it significant.
Well, you say cleric. Hi.
Hey, howdy.
So he's gonna walk by.
Right.
Just
And
stares
by
at
the way, you found that was a relatively it was a relatively pure and unprofaned space. In a town that is suffused with elder energy, this was not such a place.
Well, the spire is definitely a place where the younger gods are stronger. So this place is not completely forsaken. What's interesting, and perhaps Isha would have more knowledge on this, since I'm a relatively recent convert. Water at the bottom, fire at the top.
Oh, right. Elemental placement.
Yes, what does that mean then? Educate us.
I guess I should do a religion check.
Check.
Right.
That would be a logical thing for me to do, right?
Yep.
The gods.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't put it down, but I am proficient.
It's your intelligence.
No, I'm proficient in it. I just didn't put it down. That's a 22.
Nice.
22. So you hear Anders discuss what it is that you saw, and it makes complete sense to you. You've seen both really primitive but nevertheless religious sites that relied on elemental symbolism as the sort of breeding ground for higher religion.
Yeah.
But also you've seen sort of what you might call ecumenical sites that were not dedicated to any particular younger god, but the younger gods in general.
Yeah.
Sometimes feature elemental symbolism, and you think that there essentially is a cosmology that's being worked out there.
Oh, alchemy.
Oh, I'm gonna say fire, water.
Does that mean Isha tops?
Yeah.
Adri has made note of that as well.
Adri's writing friend fiction in the corner.
Not sure it's friend fiction, but it's starting,
The one thing that this
from
suggests
friends
is
to lovers.
balance here, but it feels off. way too much elder, not enough younger.
Well, maybe they're just waiting for influence like ours to come in and tip the scales.
The people are obviously good here, and they're in favor of the younger gods. It's like Isha said, they just might need some help.
Are we alone at this point?
Well, people are leaving you alone.
Okay.
We're also speaking a language they can't really understand.
Yeah.
Well, what are we all speaking?
No,
we
because
I'm saying most of them are like broken.
that's true. If
Yeah.
They,
So
They're gonna
Whatever,
hear.
like,
They're gonna hear
common.
like God help
right, yeah.
stuff like
Okay.
every
So
every
they don't
fifth word.
necessarily
Fire,
speak common.
water.
Right, we're speaking common, but not. They might not be able to understand completely what we're
Okay.
saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, I imagine we have our own
Okay.
accents to work through. Too.
Yes, absolutely, all
Yeah.
of us.
Yeah, Dwarven accents.
Common is
and-
my second language.
Yeah. It's actually probably most of our characters.
Yeah.
second
Yeah, most of
language.
us, yeah.
Definitely mine.
So it's all accented heavy.
Common might be my third language.
Well, now that is this your entire group here? Your red banner?
Red banner.
On this continent,
All right. Well, I suppose I should fill you in on what little I know of the elder that I've been led to believe might have risen here. You're gonna have to tell me how to pronounce this.
Apostrophes.
Take a guess at it.
Heragionis?
Heragionis.
Heragionis. I was pretty close.
Heragionis.
All right. I encountered a elder cleric in what is that? Gateland, Southern Gets. I don't know how to pronounce any of these.
Yeetland.
Gateland,
I was actually teaching. I'm
a
actually
small
teaching
town called Gedsar.
I liked writing that story.
I need to reread this real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I'm actually teaching Beowulf. That's fun.
Do you have any Old English?
I don't know my old English, unfortunately.
What we gardinen yerdagum theo kinning a thrim gafruna on huda etlingas ellen fremadon.
Are you quoting Beowulf in?
Yes.
Old English.
That was the
Of course he is.
beginning.
wait till
of
I tell my
the
regulars.
first.
Yeah, right,
legit
just
English
Your
class.
DM just quoted Beowulf.
Yeah.
Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah, exactly.
That was what I heard at the beginning of the first legitimate English class that I took in college.
Yeah.
Was the professor got up on the first day and just
What?
quoted Beowulf in Old English.
That's amazing.
I love that.
That's a way to start a class.
Okay.
So everyone's gathered around Vala with bated breath.
Okay.
Yes.
So, in a town in Gateland called Gidzar, I encountered a cleric of the Elder who slew the guard that was sent after him, but I had followed, and I was able to kill him. And before the cleric died, he revealed to me that an elder by the name of Fragionis has returned, and that the names of the banner are in the Book of the Damned.
Well, that sounds promising.
I assume it would be your names. But I returned to Scandia to consult with the tribes or the scribes, excuse me, and they told me that this is where that elder was supposedly routed many, many years ago. And it was my only lead, and I came here and met you.
So at that moment, you actually notice that there's a sort of cloaked figure hiding behind that smoldering brazier under the balcony there, and he had very clearly overheard your conversation. And you glance over and just seeing his cloak sort of flutter as he disappears into a shadow behind the
And
building.
someone has overheard us.
Yusha's really quickly gonna say, "Did you hear that, friends? They're already writing books about us."
Should
Yeah,
we-
unfortunately, the name of that book
Madre is
does
gonna
not sound like
follow
the bestseller.
cloaked person.
All right, can you give me a dexterity check?
Yes.
Oh, parkour.
Parkour.
Oh, that's
Oh,
jealous.
this is good.
Well, no, Marjorie is also a parkour.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They could be
editions.
parkour buddies in a crossover.
Yes.
So,
In a different way.
My characters would be great in
Hold
a
on just a second.
crossover because
19.
19.
And
So
everybody lives in
you're able
dies
to
at
get
you.
you're able to get to the corner, and you can see that the cloaked figure is walking behind that building that's near the encampment there,
Mhm.
between the city wall
Mm-hmm.
and the building. And he had moved had moved very, very quickly to the corner. But once he was around the corner, clearly thought he had gotten away and
Mhm.
was unseen. and slows to just a nice stroll.
Okay.
And is basically walking. Every now and then he's looking to his left and to his right, but he's sort of hurrying but not running.
Okay. So I catch up with him.
Okay, so that's a dash action.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you in tactical time.
Let me.
Ooh, long way.
Turning over a new leaf.
I like it.
Well, we need a new stealthy person.
We
so-
do.
We do.
That's the tea.
Ah.
Hey.
We overall, hey, turning into tea leaf.
I
Here you
have
go.
sun tea still in my bag.
So there is
that
a
blessed sun tea.
Yes.
Send him around.
so
Going around.
he is
Where is this happening?
Over here.
Over there.
Oh.
Bring it around
Main road, basically.
town.
no, he's behind the building.
So.
Back
They're,
there.
yeah, they're back there.
I thought.
No, like actually between the city wall. And,
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was
Back
already
there.
on the main road.
Just
Yeah,
give him
no.
to Gina.
Yeah, so basically he is trying
here.
to squeeze around
Yeah.
the corner
Yeah.
by the city
And
gate
where is
there.
Manishway?
And we're gonna do opposed dexterity checks on this.
Okay.
Alright.
Excuse me.
Put your dex back.
I'm gonna do another dex check.
Beat a 15.
The look on her face.
18.
18. So you catch up, and he actually does not know he's being followed,
Okay.
but he's sort of hurrying along. So you basically are right behind him. What do you
Okay. I grab him
do? Okay.
like on the arms
Okay.
and I say, "Who are you?"
Give me a strength check with advantage. Beat a 16.
Yes. I like this dice tonight. Okay.
We'll roll it again just in case.
What?
Did you go to advantage?
Why would I do that?
What if
You
you got
have
an nat
advantage.
20?
Yeah.
Oh right.
You might as well roll it twice just in
Thank
case you get a
That,
nat
by the
20.
way, is how I
No, I
would
didn't have a better one.
adjudicate a surprise grapple. I just give it advantage to the person
Okay,
that
so I
has
had a
surprise.
17.
Nice.
Right. So
Yeah.
you basically come up and grab the back of his cloak, and sort of, what do you do? You have him in your grip.
Like I said, I say, "Who are you?"
So he turns around and he looks. He cannot believe he was followed or seized like this, and he turns.
Manjue's eyes kind of narrow even more.
He
You can't even
tries.
see
He
them.
tries to break the grapple. Beat a 7.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
12
So
plus.
you end up throwing him down to the ground and putting your knee on his stomach.
Oh,
And what do you say?
I got kind of harsh.
You repeat your
I
demand.
repeat, "Who are you?"
He says, I'm a man who makes a living on the street as an informer. What can I say?
An informer to whom?
To any noble that will pay. I heard the Book of the Damned.
Who paid you?
What?
Who paid you this time?
Whoever will pay me for this information, I will traffic it around as perhaps pertaining to these newcomers. Or Ragionis, the Reckoner.
Say that again.
Bragging on us.
No, but the sentence. Say the sentence again. I couldn't.
That's all you got.
No, but
She
Different
didn't hear you though. I
Oh.
don't
I
think
didn't
that's
hear
what
you.
it
The
is.
beginning.
He said he
The
would bill about the
Ragionis.
information to anybody that would
Yeah.
pay for it.
Yes, I got that.
He heard mention of the Book of the Damned. He
Yes,
heard
got
mention
that.
of Ragionis, the Reckoner.
Okay. Hold on just a second.
But this would obviously catch your notice because nothing that Vala had said had
Right.
included that name,
The
Right.
Reckoner.
the
The
Reckoner.
Reckoner.
Yeah. The Reckoner.
Can I roll?
I
with
say you won't be fucking
that?
getting
Call this
paid
a
by
short
anyone.
rest, right?
You must let me go.
I will kill you if you share the
Actually, I could just
information
kill you
that
probably
you
with
have
lay
heard
on
from us.
hands.
What?
I can kill you with lay on
I will keep this to myself if that's what you're demanding.
What guarantee do I have of that?
You're just gonna
What
heal
can
me?
I
Yeah,
offer you?
35. I can give you a full 35.
Sounds good.
There you go.
You have your knee in my chest. I can barely breathe.
You tell
Physically
me
up
what
to
you can
code.
offer me.
I am a broker of information. There's many things I know.
I'm basically
What
healed.
are you doing here?
Thanks.
I can aid you. Whatever it is you're doing, I can aid you.
Then come back with me, and you can speak with my friends.
Very well.
Is there a private place?
More private than this?
Well, I can't very well leave you here, not knowing whether you'll stay.
I will walk with you.
Okay, come.
So he sort of stands up, humbly. You lean up with a cracked
Okay.
rib.
I'm so proud.
And you're all standing there, sort of wondering what it is that you saw observing you and then fleeing
Yeah.
around the corner. And Manjway comes around the corner, sort of dragging his
Scruff of his neck.
scruff of his neck. She's
No,
crying.
I'm not dragging him because I
Yeah.
don't want him to look like my prisoner.
Oh, well, tell me
So
what
I
you're
just
doing,
loop my arm in his and hold it very tightly.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh.
I
Aw.
love this.
All right. So when he comes around the corner into the light again, you get out of the shadows of the city walls. You can see it's a young man. He's like 15 years old. It's a long hair, kind of a street urchin.
Manjway makes some sort of noise.
Who's your friend, Montway?
Oh, are we back again?
I think we probably would
Yeah.
have came to you actually, seeing the person.
Met someone.
Well,
in the
now
middle.
Wall is healed pretty much.
Yeah.
Do
Well,
you?
yeah, we were.
Because if you come over there, then we can go back.
Yeah, I think.
Well,
that,
how late is it getting?
I was gonna say.
It's like 5:30.
Okay, so it's not late at
You're
all.
up to the dinner hour.
Is it? Does it
Soon.
get
But we're
dark
getting
early
close to
here, or
Yeah,
just
it gets
it gets
dark
dark early?
Okay, so
Okay.
maybe we'd be preparing to go over
Anyway.
to
Mhm.
the hall then.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
well, let's make it fast.
All right. So if I see you walking, then I kind of cock my head, and
Yeah.
we can walk behind the building again.
Very
Okay.
Tell them who you are.
He looks around. He says, "I'm Archaki. I'm a man of the street, destitute man. I make a living by stealing here and there, trafficking in information. I keep my eyes open. I keep my ears open. What you said earlier caught my eye. I figured there would be some nobles in town, maybe the chief, that would be interested to hear what you spoke of."
You work for us now. So what information do you have?
You spoke a name that is not spoken in this city.
What name?
Regions. We say the Reckoner. Or the Fearsome. We do not speak the name. Let us not speak of it again.
Well, we're here to kill anything that would consider him a friend.
Or him.
He is the ancient enemy of this city. You have seen the tower for yourself. You see the fortress beyond. It was once his. We routed him, but we do not forget. And they say one day he shall return, but we do not believe it. And even if it's true, we are ready. As you see, we are warriors. Well, most of us.
So, what solace do you have from the elder power in this city?
We are devotees of the younger gods here.
Mm-hmm.
We worship the mothers as special. We have the spire. The spire of the blessed elements is a dedication to all younger gods, and we live under the protection of the chiefs.
What's up with the river?
The river is pure. It washes away the filth continually, but it cannot, even the river cannot bring down the tower.
Why is the river pure?
Well, Anders, that's 1 point for Valak.
It is the mother's river. It is a tributary of the Danube.
I feel like I wanted to be right.
I just like keeping score.
It's a tributary of what?
It's a tributary of the Danube River.
Hmm.
The purest of rivers, named after Danu, the mother goddess.
Where was Ragnaros last seen, heard?
Here, 500 years ago. Routed,
Where exactly?
Routed by Borden and his chieftains.
Where was he routed to?
I do not know. Can an elder die?
Yes.
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 Then he dead.
What if he wasn't?
And then an elder can't die?
No, I mean, let's say your legends didn't have him die. Where was he last?
Some say, but we do not believe. Some say
Mm-hmm.
he could return, but we say no.
They shared a lot.
Yeah.
Are there
Everyone just kind of like.
Everybody rolls
Okay,
eyes.
let me put it this way. Where is he in legend going to return?
I do not know. You ask questions.
I thought you were an informant.
This is all I know. I tell
Who
you what
can
I
give
know.
us the answers that we seek?
I'm clearly not him. I'm not paying him anymore.
He's
Shut up,
15.
Anders.
Feed him.
You could ask the babushka.
That's a fun-
Always
Ask
ask
the
the babushka.
Where can we find this person?
She lives in the cottage near the fortress,
Of
right next to
course.
the chief.
Mhm.
She is very close. You could ask the chief as well.
Well, would this person be at the dinner tonight of the champions?
You mean at the chief's hall?
Yes.
I think he will probably be there.
I'm
It is his
talking-
house.
Talking about the babushka.
I do not know. The babushka is very reclusive.
We can
She's a
begin
stranger.
with the chief.
I give our chalky a fish,
Yeah.
and I say, if you are loyal to us, I will take care of you.
What be loyalty then?
You want a place to rest tonight? We have a carriage.
Do not share our secrets, and speak with us when we need information. If you are disloyal, you know that I am stronger than you.
Vala's just gonna hand him 5 gold and say, if you hear any word of anything that we've discussed here today, come to us and let us know.
Also keep an eye on the orcs.
He says, you have seen the alleyway that I consider mine, for both begging and thievery. Make 3 marks on the large stone midway in the wall. If I see them, I will remain until you come to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well. Our Chalky turns and he goes back into the alleyway. He disappears.
Is it getting dark yet?
Yeah.
Okay, we should head over to
I think
the...
it's time for dinner.
I believe so. I could use some food.
I do have a formal outfit I haven't worn in a while.
Well, I've wiped down my armor, so
Yeah, right.
it'll do.
That'll do. That'll do.
That'll do.
I only wear armor.
Major's got one outfit.
I'm gonna go and use the men's while you guys figure out how you're gonna handle this particular situation.
Well, I'm not gonna be the only one in a dress.
No, I know. We're teasing.
There's no way in hell Mondra would wear a dress.
We'll wear our armor to dinner then.
We are.
This is the
champions.
area for it, I
This
think.
is true.
It's already 11. I wonder if we want to do.
We'll probably get halfway through the dinner, depending on how it unfolds.
And there'll be like a this is what's up.
Yeah, it might be a this is
Next
what's up
week,
conversation.
We are
One
Doing
shot.
one
one
shot.
shot.
We're doing the rogue one.
Yeah, I think
I need to
that's
ask him if I need to roll up a new rover if I'm bringing Seagrin. Because Seagrin's 2 levels above everybody else, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
For the one shot, they're
Oh.
really interesting.
I mean, yeah, if you're the leader, it makes sense you would be 2 levels above. So
That's true.
I would be so down for that.
I know you would be.
Is everyone actually playing a rogue, or are you doing anything?
I think we should. I think we
I would be
agreed
here.
that like we could be whatever class. It's
just
just
like
that they're
roguish
Well, it's on the
archetypes.
list.
See,
Archetypes,
because that's where I was like tripping with mine, because I actually thought of it's silly, but I'm not that I won't be here next week, so I'm the reason the one shotting's happening. But for any other rogue game, maybe later, is some sort of possibly a wizard. I'm thinking
Oh.
I'm going to play Bard.
you're going to play.
Oh
Bard.
yeah, of course you are.
I have a
But-
warlock.
But wait, because I was thinking warlock, but I think wizard makes more sense. Is that they're from like small town, always good with magic, but never let their parents know. Parents found out, and are like, somebody must teach you.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
gather the coffers, send them to the city, but then they can't afford like their tutor anymore, so they fall in with loan sharks. Can't
love
pay their
this
loans
so
off for wizard school anymore, and joins this thief guild to try and get away from the loan sharks and make some money.
I love this so much.
Except I'm not going to be here next weekend.
Well,
That
you
would've
can
been
always
so
bring
good.
my
I'm saving
character
it
on the
for-
pirate ship.
That's true, because I wasn't really liking who I was thinking for the
I
pirate
play
thing.
Bard, you know, he come in, he's like, hello, I need money.
Oh man, I cannot wait to watch the videos next week.
We
So-
can discuss that more.
Um,
I have to use the
Okay,
bathroom.
tell me what you guys are.
Sorry,
I think we're all
I think we're just
okay.
gonna go to dinner and
Yeah.
We're all going to try to get in
In
on this
armor.
meal with Bala.
So you actually notice that the streets are sort of calming down. The bazaar and the marketplace are closed, but there's people still hanging around talking. Some people are gathered around the fountain. But as how are you actually walking? Give me your pathway.
Probably-
we're ending up
Okay.
here.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
So
assuming
you
we'll
actually
be
walk
building.
up that main sort of
Yeah,
the
why
main
not?
alleyway there.
Probably Main Street.
That makes
So you
sense.
actually see that the building, the sort of wattle and daub wooden building that backed onto the bazaar
Mhm.
is essentially a sort of indoor an indoor marketplace.
Oh.
But across the street is a place called the Horde House, which is a sort of, and there's pictures of saddlery on the wall. You think it's obviously some kind of Cossack gathering place. But as you come up to the fountain area and you gaze to your right, you see this large sort of tall gabled sort of hall, and there's a dragon's head sort of stuffed and mounted over the doorway. The front doors are standing open, and you can see the torch and glow of firelight inside, and you can see figures, mugs toasting ale, songs being sung, and there's actually people spilling out of the hallway onto the steps there.
It's a pretty small dragon head
Where are we?
compared to what we see.
Major
Oh, over there.
is gonna take a gander at that spire.
Mhm.
And if I wanted to see if she was feeling any feelings or just noticing anything,
Right.
what should I roll? Should I just roll straight perception?
Give me a wisdom check.
All right.
Unless you're doing actual physical investigation.
No, I'm just kind of looking and contemplating.
Okay.
Not
How
20
close
on
are
the
you-
dragon head.
How close are you getting? Well, give everybody's placement.
What are
You
Yeah, I think
first.
I'd be
Know your
kind of
locations
meandering
there.
towards the end, which I tend to do. Yeah, where's the minis?
These
Let's
all.
march 'em.
So we
March 'em.
march.
I'm gonna be
You're gonna be
towards
probably
towards the
here-ish?
back. Yeah.
Bala's probably at the
meandering.
front because she's the one who
Who's
was
gonna
invited.
have to entree?
With them.
Oh, fantastic.
So, but Maidry peels off and goes in the other direction. To the,
That's an
Yeah, I
old
kind of
spire.
like go to stand, not super close, probably right where.
are you
My
moving
mini's at.
stealthily or openly?
No, openly.
Okay. So you can actually see that the guards that were there,
Mhm.
that Manjwe told you about, have departed, and so the entire spire is open to you.
Mm-hmm.
As you gaze in underneath the archway, you can see there's a kind of carved pool standing there
Mm-hmm.
in the center. And it actually has the look maybe of stone
Mm-hmm.
and wood kind of cut together.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems to be, there's some kind of glow down there. There's a bluish glow in the room, and you can't see where it's coming from.
Wow, I'm gonna walk into it.
Nice.
So you walk in, and you can see that it's obviously coming up from the pool, but it's higher than you can see
Right.
because of your height.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see there's a small staircase in the corner leading up to the next floor.
Are you in this building?
Yes.
A little bit temptation.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna walk up the stairs.
So you creep up
try
the
to.
stairs. Are you moving stealthily again, or are you just out for a stroll?
I'm just out for a stroll.
Really? So you come up to the staircase. You begin to walk up the stairs, and you can see that they're all sort of nicely masoned and very clean. Probably not often used, but as you come up to the second floor, you can see there's just stacks and stacks of wood,
Mm-hmm.
sort of laid up.
Mm-hmm.
And then above that, there's another staircase going up.
Mm-hmm. Majory is going to remember Andrew's explanation of what it was. So I think
Right.
she would assume that next level is where the fire is, which would explain
Right.
what the wood's for.
Right.
Um,
There's another staircase going
yeah,
up.
going up. Mm-hmm. What the heck? She's gonna go up those two.
So as you begin the second staircase, as your head just comes up above the floor level, you hear this,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this thumping on the air.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's using a
Maybe.
bellows.
That's yeah.
Or
Sounds
it's
like.
a cooking animal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a dragon.
So as you come up into the next level, you can see that in fact there's an automatic weight and pulley system blowing a bellows
Ah.
up through the floor, and you can see there's a
Neat.
kind of grating that is firing some sort of flame above you,
Mm-hmm.
and there's one more staircase.
Neato. One more staircase?
May as well.
Yeah.
That's the most halfling thing I've ever heard.
So you go up
Why
one more
not?
Major
staircase.
as well.
And you can see that in the center of the room on the highest level
Yeah.
is a sort of flaming cauldron, a sort of flaming brazier. But on each of the four walls, there's intricately carved pantheons of the northern gods, one on each wall: the Gaelic pantheon, the Nordic pantheon, the Finnic pantheon. Basically every god is sort of represented with a fine sort of stone chiseled face. And there's this beautiful sort of orange warm glow, and it's sort of drifting out into the night, and you sort of realize that you've been cleansed somehow by having come up through these various levels. And you realize that the first level was water, earth, air, and fire, and that somehow you'd gone on a kind of miniature pilgrimage, and you feel somehow better for it.
That's great.
What is Anders doing?
Oh, I was just the only thing I did is like staring at the dragon head and rolled nat 20.
Yeah,
So
Thinking about
he's doing his dragon thing.
yeah.
Because I met a lot of dragons in my time.
Yeah, it's actually, you can closely examine it. It's a drake. It's not an actual full-blown dragon. It's a subspecies. You actually notice the doors are open, and there's no guard. There's just people reveling inside.
In the hall.
Oh.
I don't think we have to worry about invitations.
Vala's walking up and through the door.
Party is
Vala,
sweet.
Anders. Who else is there?
I'm gonna wait for Major to come back.
Okay.
Oh, you noticed.
So you're waiting what? At the
Did we
foot of the
notice that she
stair?
left?
Oh, can I roll perception to see if I noticed you?
I was at the back of the party. I'm not.
You would have been in front of me, I assume.
But I also
so
would have
would've
looked. I'd
noticed.
look around now.
round, yeah, naturally.
I'm gonna trust you to do well on your own.
Okay, I
16.
appreciate that.
Yeah, you know she's going.
Okay, so I'm gonna go wait at the base of the.
I think that's perfect because then Kajal can wait, and we can.
You assume that's where she was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I
because
still-
you didn't know her. She just disappeared on you, right?
Well, I said I rolled
You
my
see if you
perception to
noticed.
see if I
Right.
noticed her leave before.
Oh, I thought you meant
So-
notice that she was gone.
No.
No, before.
And I feel like I'm
And-
gonna roll and know she's gone.
Right.
She's not
And
there.
Majorie would have been in front of Isha, so she would have seen her go and just been like,
Yeah.
"Oh, she's
Right.
scouting, just like Monjwe."
Right, right. So what does Monjwe do? Or so what does Majorie do from the top of the tower?
I think she would continue on her inquisitiveness and kind of just walk around the room and
Right.
like more closely inspect the carvings.
Yeah.
See if she notices anyone, which I imagine she would. Just
No, well, these would be, you would have seen some of these visages and portraitures of gods before, but
Right.
you wouldn't have attached any significance
No.
to them. But all of a sudden, there's something about the beauty of many of them, the placidity of others, the formidable sort of impressive lordship of certain other gods. And all of a sudden you find yourself getting in touch with the religious sensibility. For the first time, you sort of understand why there's such a thing as veneration, why there's such a thing as worship, and you begin to see that this is basically a temple to the concept of godhood itself in its incarnate form, which is to say through the elements. There's nothing, everything here is cleanly drawn, sanctified, comforting, impressive in human terms. And it contrasts so sharply with your last year of experience in dealing with these aberrations around every corner that the elder represent. This would be a moment for Majorie.
Oh yeah, because like I said, I think she would really realize. Obviously, she's aware that Anders and Isha and like others, have this secret even to some degree, less but not so much. And I think that's where she got that a little bit.
They understood each other on that level.
On that
Neither of
level.
them was very religious.
Right, but that they're
So now they're seeing
kind
it
of
as
see
shit.
now. Yeah, she's
So-
seen a lot of shit, but now she can see why so many people around her are believing in them and
When
placing.
you make your second walk around that upper floor, you happen to glance down towards the fountain and you see that Kajal is standing there. And you get the impression he's waiting patiently for you.
All right. I think she would, walk back over to the stairs and kind of take a last look at it all. Probably bow because she doesn't really know what else to do, but she feels like she needs to do something.
Yeah.
And she kind of came up there uninvited. and would make her way down again.
Okay.
But I think seeing Kajal would also make her realize that his coming back to life also might have something
All
to do
those
with
times.
her. All those times
Yeah.
might have something to do with having this moment, like finally coming to this moment where
Yeah.
she's realizing, because, you know, now it's like somebody close to her
So give me another wisdom check.
who.
Where's my other one?
16.
You are profoundly aware of the fact that you did the right thing by following your intuition, and you were meant to go there. That you were meant to have that experience, and it was sort of meant to lock in your recent reflections on this subject. And then the next thing you know, you find yourself on the main floor. You have kind of just almost floated down the stairs, barely aware of your feet touching the stone, and you stroll out into the night air and feel sort of strangely edified.
I just had an experience.
I just had an experience with a capital E.
Yes.
I just walk up to Kajal and kind of like
Give yourself a +1 to religion.
Yay!
Nice.
Yay! I just kind of like pat Kajal and just say, "Go get something to eat."
I'll put my hand on your head for a second, and ruffle your hair a little bit, and then we can.
So what are the rest of you doing in the meantime? This was 5 minutes out of Major's life.
But
Probably
profound
walked
with a
into the
capital
hall.
E.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you walk
Split the
into the
food
hall.
for
I'll
me.
tell you what you see.
Save me a plate.
Okay, I really have to go to the bathroom.
Oh my god, no!
I
I'm going after you.
I haven't taken a single break.
Neither have I.
You do find that you are
You are.
observed. Oh, I'm good. I got it here.
Lovely. Ooh, fancy chair.
Yeah.
Come on down, y'all.
You notice there is a very impressive looking man, probably the tallest individual you've ever seen,
Ooh.
standing in front of
Even
the
taller than
throne.
Gilgamesh?
Yes, he's probably about 7
Not all of
foot
us have
one.
seen Gilgamesh. I'm
Yeah.
just joking.
Yeah.
The hall is filled with Cossack warriors. I could fill the hall to the capacity.
Let's dump them in there.
And they are drinking from drinking horns and goblets, draining the casks that are all around. Songs are echoing from different corners. Bread and mead is being consumed in great quantities. Meat on the bone is being chewed.
That's a party.
Yeah.
And so you, who walks in first?
Vala.
Vala walks
Yeah.
in first, and you actually notice that several of the warriors turn around, and some hasty words are sort of exchanged amongst others, and they all start to cheer. They all start to cheer like this, and they're sort of calling out these sort of titles and commands and sort of compliments that you can't understand because you don't know the language. But
She
you
gets
see
the gist.
these broad white smiles of sort of happiness and goodwill, and you just back slaps, and they're not sort of affectionate, friendly back. These are the hearty back slaps of warriors.
Yeah.
You're
She
one
can
of-
take it.
Yeah, you're one of them, and they're sort of impressed. A man sort of pushes his way through, and he sort of leans into your ear and says, "I am Gallican, so I speak your language. That was a fine performance that you put on today."
My thanks.
Yes, I am Ramius.
Vala.
Pleasure. I see you brought your friends who, don't let anyone see, were not invited.
Oh, well. I did ask if there was room for them, and they said there might be.
So we would need the permission of the chief.
I will ask it of him.
He takes you by the arm, guides you over to the throne. He turns, sort of taking a responsibility for you. He turns to your friends and raises a hand like this, sort of getting them to hold their position.
Well, if we get kicked out, I'm heading over to Babushka's. Maybe she's got food.
Right.
Actually, while we're waiting at the fountain,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see. Notice this. But Anders noticed with a 12, the blockade thingy here, the rubble thing.
Well,
Where is he?
you were
Because
in
he would
the-
be about here-ish wandering.
Yeah.
waiting.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you would. You would, but it's in the dim light of mid-evening, so you can only see that there's some sort of pile of rubble down there in front of the wall.
Pile of rocks.
But you've now joined the others in the hall, haven't you?
Oh no, they were waiting for permission. He probably
We're
checked out.
inside.
Yeah, but
Well,
you were
they went
inside, but you
inside
were held
and they
at
were
the
waiting.
door.
At the
Oh.
door.
You were held at the door. But we'll say that you saw it on your
On your
first
way
walk
over.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So,
probably sensing they're not getting in there. I think he might actually dip out. He might actually say, "I'll be right back."
Ooh.
Where are you going?
Banquets.
so you
Saw
are
something.
Vala.
Tell her at the door, though.
Ramius sort of ushers you by the arm in front of the throne, and some words are exchanged. And you notice that this tall Cossack warrior, he is the biggest human male you have ever seen.
Human male.
He towers like a head above you,
Yeah.
and he's almost a giant. He's standing there, and there's this beautiful, fairly dark-skinned, svelte but still powerful-looking female warrior on his right. And these words are exchanged, but then Ramius turns to you and says, "This is Drazdan. He is our chief. This is his sister, Yulova. She is our chief, and they have agreed to welcome you and your friends into the hall. They extend their congratulations on your victory today over the foul orc chieftain, who is the bane of many. I could go on and talk about his misdeeds, but we thank you." And the chief says, and then some other words are exchanged. "I hope you enjoy the beer. Please bring your friends over to meet the chiefs."
My thanks. I shall do so.
Who did you bow to?
The Chiefs.
So you notice that Dresden steps forward and says, "My sister is the chief."
Oh, my apologies. I thank you for your hospitality.
And Yulova looks at you and she winks. There's some understanding is passed about the need for
Him to say that.
the deference
Yeah.
that he gave to his sister took
Yeah.
everyone by surprise. But you're approving of it.
Definitely.
Didn't he refer to chiefs plural?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he called them both Chief, that's why.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so,
So
we're not really
when
sure.
Arrhenius
okay.
notes your confusion, he quickly clarifies that Yulova is older than Dresden.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
he actually, with a certain amount of pride, explains that the tribal tradition of the Cossacks would normally have him be the ruling chief. But because there is such respect for the mother goddesses in this city, he has deferred to her. And that he is actually what they
Good
call the
sign.
arm of the chief, but she is the ruling
That's a
chief.
good sign.
Vala approves, plus 25.
So her name is Yulova.
Yeah. So, and could you give me a charisma check?
Me?
Yep.
Okay.
See, you're smitten.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes.
Beat a 17.
Oh, boy.
And his name is Dresden.
His name is Dresden. I'll give you their
Dresden.
names.
Your names.
Is this a straight one or like a saving throw?
This is a straight charisma check.
Alright. Oh, it's
You're
a
s-
14.
you're smitten. Or intimidated, or
Yes, a
both.
Stranger Things shirt. I just realized it. So great.
Strangely
As
aroused.
far as
Yeah.
scare aroused.
Yes.
I'm scared and I'm
Nice
horny.
Those are the names.
Little symbol.
You love
Symbols,
it.
just so we can tell.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
Yulova.
So, and you notice that Dresden looks over at his sister Yulova, and a look is exchanged, and she nods, and then Dresden looks over your head to your friends, and beckons them in like this.
Vala turns a little bit to kind of
Anders will have to join later because he's
Yeah.
checking the rubble.
indicate.
Because after it took more than 2 seconds, he wandered off and he's going to come back.
Right. Right.
So
He could
she's
check the rubble and leave.
Party.
So at this moment, Ramius kind of looks at you and says, "I welcome you again to the city. Our mead is your mead." And
Thank
he
you.
walks away.
Do we know what
She's just gonna
Rangus
keep
is?
track
I
of time
was
to
in the
make sure
bathroom.
she knows how
What's
long
this?
Anders has been gone and if she needs to
Rangus?
run after him.
Ramius?
Oh, look at
Ramius.
you keeping
Ramius,
track of
yes.
your
I'll
man.
put his name.
My
for
partner.
Yeah, okay.
I know.
So who's with me
Just
right
keep
now?
a tally of every
You
time
left.
you
The
refers
rest of
to
us.
Anders.
Okay, so
as
the rest of you are
Anders.
with.
As
It's just Anders
Wesley,
wandered off because that's
not
what he does.
just
sometimes.
as Anders
Um,
or that guy.
Let me tell you what was passed in that charisma check.
Yeah.
A healthy respect, the invitation to a bond, one warrior woman to another, recognizing that you had the advantage of frame and countenance to make your impression and your way in the world. She, in fact, uses not cunning, she uses courage, but the strong arm of her brother to get what she wants. But you think you got her figured it out.
Right.
She figured out, and she thinks she has you figured out.
So, who
By the way, I
is
didn't
waiting?
intend this to be so much the Vala show tonight, but it's going.
No,
I love
so
it.
good. This is what I
I
wanted. I wanted this.
Well, we can
I mean, I
get to
wanted
know her.
Vala to have her scenes, but it's
Yeah.
becoming a
Oh,
Vala
this is
special.
wonderful.
Everyone gets their day.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do I recognize
And
anyone?
it makes sense as an
Anyone from,
introductory
like, the
episode too.
marketplace?
Oh yeah,
We're
yeah.
happy to
Yeah,
get to know her.
there's a couple of merchants that you
Mhm.
now realize are in finery
Mm.
and perhaps had more wealth than you thought. And there's also a couple of Cossack chiefs
Mhm.
that you saw from the encampment have been welcomed in as well. And you quickly discern that they have been they're the victors from previous matches in previous years and sort of have a standing invitation, as well as being under a kind of alliance
Mhm.
where, although they're nomadic tribesmen, they support the city.
Mhm.
And as the evening begins to wear on, you hear sort of lore, and you find that most of these folks of this class are actually fairly fluent in common. And you hear stories about how the Borodin, the sage who founded the city, did it not only to commemorate his victory over the Reckoner, which is being openly referred to here, but also to keep the tribes together. And so it's the descendants of Borodin, of whom Dresden and Ulova are the latest,
Okay.
see it as their job to have an alliance between city and country, between the Cossacks of the city and the nomads.
Makes sense. Cool.
Do you want to do any investigation of this? This is where we can do this scene and wrap up the session for tonight. But do you want to use this opportunity to do any investigation or any other socializing?
Yeah, I mean, who are the people? I guess just the.
Yeah, Major probably throws greetings, like
Right.
friendly greetings, to towards the people that she recognized from the marketplace.
Right.
And
You notice that basically you and Vala are being sort of welcome wherever you go because of your part in that victory over the Orc chieftain.
Mhm.
But people were particularly amused by what you did.
Mhm.
They felt it was sort of plucky courage,
Mhm.
and they really do think you're a child.
that's what I was about to say. I'm like
They-
looking and I'm like realizing, like, do they still think I'm a child?
Yeah.
Or
Every
do
now
they
and
think
then-
I'm still her child?
Yeah, that's right. And every now and then people say, you have a wonderful mother. Well, this
Right, it's
this
genuine,
is,
right?
This is their goddess mythology.
Yes,
They're
exactly.
They're
No,
fixated on this. They
yeah.
sort of think
I
this
have
is the
to
way.
say that I really love the emphasis on Mother Gods
Yeah.
the weekend of Mother's Day.
Me
It's
too.
true.
Yeah.
It's fitting.
Yeah.
It's fitting.
Was that planned?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So,
no,
so,
and I
so people
probably
are
keep,
complimenting you, but also you begin to see every now and then you
Yeah.
see either a very intelligent or a completely non-inebriated person who looks at you and wonders whether or
Right,
not
they
you
just
really are. They
switch a
look
little
at the
bit.
slight hints of crow's feet, maybe
Right.
mature.
Yeah.
Catch a peek at the ear.
They-
Yeah.
but for the
One of
most
them has
part-
seen Orphan, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly.
For the most part, they think
Choker
you're
on my neck.
a child.
Right.
Have you passed your tweens?
Oh, I'm like, I'm 34.
So you're like
32,
right on the
34.
line.
So I had you when
Yeah.
I was 1.
Yeah,
I had you when I was
fine.
1 years old.
Yeah, so I'm like on the cusp,
Okay.
but like by human standards.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Could you all
approaching.
give me a perception check?
Yeah. So I probably just keep like I'm throwing you a glance over like up.
Ah,
like
I
a
see
pint,
nothing.
Like
I see liquor.
you see liquor and that's it.
That's
All
it.
right.
7.
7? Yeah.
Vala's actually way more sociable than Secren has ever been or ever will be in her
Yeah.
life.
You're being stared
So
at,
she's
too.
kind of working the room.
But you
I'm
don't-
gonna headcanon that Isha's distracted thinking
I
about
will.
how
Any
long it's
business
been
up to
since
the
Anderson
chief.
went off.
Okay.
Oh my.
He's just sitting in the corner watching.
Just like has her
Radius,
sundial
seeing you
out.
trying to speak to the chief, hastily comes over to you and act as interpreter, and he very quickly asks your name so that he can introduce you. He introduces you to Dresden, who then whispers in Yulova's ear, and you start to see that he is the public face and she is the rulership.
Yeah.
But you notice that Yulova in particular is staring at the red banner badge on the front of your armor and with great interest.
Nice.
But Dresden is going to great lengths, but the height differential between you and Dresden is like shocking. You have like the same build, but he's like 5 times bigger than you.
So amusing.
And,
Love it.
but actually you notice
It's like they put Kajal in a taffy puller.
Yes.
you notice the way he stands, the uncultured way he sort of root of his speech, that he is a barbarian by birth, and you wonder whether he was born in the city. But in that it takes one to know one kind of mentality, you see that he has the touch of the wilds on him. But he welcomes you into the hall. But Yulova is staring at your red banner badge, and then you actually see her eyes flit across the rest of the room, and she notices on Andrew's.
Oh, I'm not there.
No, all of us
Okay,
except
so
Andrew.
Yeah, he doesn't wear it
notices
either.
Isha.
I don't wear it either. I don't.
No, but
I don't
you're-
have one.
Right, but you're not even in the room.
No, I'm not even there.
So what she's trying to do is
Oh,
size up
who's
with who in terms of the group,
Mm.
but recognizes the group that you came in with
Mhm.
and starts to look.
Do I notice her looking at
Oh
me?
yeah, absolutely.
Do you?
Can you make a charisma check?
Yeah.
Ooh, charm the lady.
Not bad at that either.
No, you
no,
are.
they've turned this is the I read you, you read me mental battle.
No, I know.
17.
Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
an understanding passes between you and her as well, and you realize that it's this kind of code of the wild, that this is a brother and sister who have learned the rough ways of the wilderness. They have fought wars against monsters and subhumans. They revel in the hunt. They revel in the pursuit of a wolf and bear. And all of this, all this passes in a look, and then you actually catch Dresden looking at you as well, and you feel strangely bonded to them. You can't quite put your finger on it, but something about the blood, something about the barbarian and the blood.
Well,
And they even recognize your desire to transcend it. And you sense in her eyes this look that says, you can become cultured.
I think we just met Galadriel.
realizing all of that, I think I would bow again and just say,
Cosmic.
if you
Yeah.
understand and appreciate the significance of this, and I would hold it up, then you,
Wizard.
at any moment, may command my sword.
Right.
You know
Ooh!
what I meant.
So
I
you
thought
say
this,
that you
I
say that
thought
to
this was a
her.
non-sexy
Wait, what
charm.
happened?
I'm kidding.
I basically tell them because they appreciate,
Yeah, the
for whatever
red
reason
banner.
she understands the red banner thing.
Mhm.
I told them that if they at any point need to command me, I'll do whatever they say.
So you say that to
He said
Loba
command us.
or Dresden?
No, to her directly.
Oh, nice.
So she smiles, and there's something about her smile that it's not the reaction that you of the male to beauty. It's not just that. There's something pure and innocent but knowing about it, and you feel that you could make it a mission to see that smile again.
Aww.
And I'll bow even deeper.
That's
Oh.
that's good stuff.
Ramius comes over with a
Shoulder.
a fresh flagon of ale for you, and as you can see, there's this kind of cycling through, but you don't monopolize the chief's time.
Well,
So
I'll take it.
you're
I'll go over to a corner.
Yeah, you're gently guided away.
Cool.
All right.
Anybody else going to use this occasion for anything?
I will, introduce
Pop now.
myself.
So Ramius comes over to you as well, hastily learns your name, asks about your background since you do not look like your friends.
Yeah.
Oh, the worst question. Where are you from?
What are you?
What are you? You're so exotic looking.
I'm from.
Well, notice what he said. Where are you from?
No, I know.
Yeah.
I'm from the city of Uruk in Sumeria.
Fabled city in the desert south.
Indeed,
Yes.
we have many exciting
Do you
tales.
wish an introduction to the chiefs?
Please,
Yes. And your full name?
Isha Nasreen Almazi.
Isha. And he comes over and he speaks to Dresden and sort of, you can see him basically recounting shortly your conversation, and then he turns and whispers in Yulova's ear, and Dresden then bows to you as well, and he looks at you, and you can see him trying to figure out the pecking order.
Yeah.
The pecking order of the group, and it has that kind of rude male kind of who's the top dog.
Yeah.
Kind of, but then you glance over at Yulova, and she knows that you know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I need a charisma check from you.
I didn't do that well.
Yeah.
I did like an 7.
A 7? Yeah, so basically you sort of feel her magnetism, her charisma, and you feel that in that moment she's achieved something that you would like to have someday.
I'm okay with that.
You feel a little guilty to see that your envy is so clearly written on your face, that you envy this woman that basically is running, in that moment you become aware of the fact that every man in that room, including recently Kajal, would fight for this woman.
Yeah.
She has some kind of charisma, and you can't help but feel both respect and envy and admiration for it.
I feel like this is a
That
charisma
makes
check
sense.
none of us could win.
Yeah, no one's gonna win against you.
She's like a +10.
I dig
Yeah.
this. I'm okay with this.
Right. And she actually beckons to you to come over. And she leans over into your ear and says, "Beware the book of the damned. If it exists, you truly are." And then Ramius kind of ushers you away.
I'm gonna get a drink.
I feel like I might go up to Vala after an evening of like having people consistently like talk to me as though she's my mother, as though I am a child, and say, "Mommy, should we tell them?"
Not now.
That's what I thought.
Most of them have been drinking.
I figured it was for the best if we maybe left them.
I have a feeling that our chiefs know anyway, so.
I felt the same.
Are you guys near me? Are you like
Okay, so
Yeah.
Manjwa is only
scoot over?
Are
your
you
way?
over?
role in
Wow.
the room.
Yeah, I'm gonna scoot
I
over your
think
way.
is going to be to try to figure out why people speak openly of the Reckoner in here when it was such a verboten topic when she was speaking with what's his face?
Yeah,
Archie?
Archie, yeah.
Archie.
Our Chalky.
Let me give you a spelling on his name.
Alright.
What everyone
We're
does.
all gonna be calling him Archie the whole time.
Yep. It's like what terrible people do when they can't pronounce somebody's name. They just give them a
Yeah.
bad nickname.
Mhm.
That's what we've
Yeah, I
done.
never really realized just I think I'm quite good with my NPCs and my
Yeah.
NPC naming.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I never really realized how important it is to have the spelling. You guys,
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to see it.
Yeah, we like to see the
There you go.
words.
So what does Marjorie do? I'll get you to do an
Less-
investigation check. Are you sort of milling about trying to eke out in common what's going on?
Well, you know that she's not exactly a people person, but
Right.
she tries to find someone who looks like they would be fairly easy to talk to and rather open
Right.
and liberal with their conversation.
Most drunk person.
Okay.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
drunk people
So-
are.
Well, they're not the most drunk, because then they make
And
nonsense.
just say,
Happy medium.
So give me an investigation check.
okay. 12. Yeah.
12. So at length you end up in a conversation with a young woman who you end up sort of sharing an interest in herbs and spices, and she is has previously worked for an old woman that is called the babushka, and for the trade of a nice piece of ginger root that you bought and are loath to part with, but
Right.
you nevertheless do. She sort of explains to you that they do not speak the name of the adversary, of Borodin's Bane, as it is called. They do not
Okay.
speak the name, but they call it the Reckoner.
That is so Slavic, I have to say. Like, that's such a thing. Like, the whole
Names.
well, the reason
Yeah.
that they renamed the bear, and the word for it is medved, which is honey seeker, and they
Well, it's
renamed
like the
it.
bee wolf, right?
Yeah, they renamed him from a raccoon because that's first of all a much more aggressive name,
Right.
and they didn't want to
Yeah.
summon it, so they gave him like a
cute-
nicer name,
yeah,
like
kinda-
the fair folk kind
Right.
of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
bring out the nice
at that moment, you're in this lost in this conversation, but you pass over this piece of ginger root, and then you notice that a couple of people are looking at you, sort of trading this, and you notice that Ulova is staring at you
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
as you pass over this root.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
And give me a charisma check.
Everyone's gonna have
Everyone's
to do
gonna
it.
meet her.
Everybody say
my
Well,
reckoning's
she
coming.
sees much.
She sees all.
Andrew's just gonna run into her on his way to the bathroom later.
Hey,
My worst roll all night.
Literally,
Six.
Six.
you
So,
know what he
yeah,
was gonna win against
You
her.
actually find that you are staring at her and she is staring at you, and you stare. You cannot help but stare, and you feel embarrassed that you get caught staring.
Okay.
And after like 10 seconds, a smile crosses her face, and she realizes you can't look away. She has dominated you with this look,
She is
and
Galadriel.
blush rises to your cheeks.
Whatever. Blush is
And
possible.
and in that moment, there is a thought that enters your head. What does it mean to reckon? It means to take stock of. It means to gather information. And an insight bolts into your brain that is what the compilation of a book would be called.
To appraise.
You want to wrap up there for tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
So,